Chapter 1614. Ultimate Dark Shadow was exasperated. How can a piece of trash with a weakness compare to my perfect form? Since you're not good at protracted battles and want to die, then I'll grant you your wish. Bam! 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 Endless darkness clashed with each other in the void, causing the void to collapse and light to sink into nothingness. Just as Ultimate Dark Shadow had said, Little Dark Shadow was not good at protracted battles. At this point, he was the one at a disadvantage. Little Dark Shadow also agreed with Ultimate Dark Shadow's words. As an Ultimate Dark Shadow, apart from having greater potential, the 14th Ultimate Dark Shadow was indeed perfect. He was a natural-born king. However, that didn't mean that he was unkillable. Just as Big Brother said, the 14th Ultimate Dark Shadow is perfect. He has no weakness. Little Dark Shadow smiled like Lin Chen. A dozen or so dark dragons surged out of his palm and attacked. He held on bitterly, not giving up any hope. Controlling Tuo Xing's body, Ultimate Dark Shadow raised his staff and waved it horizontally. A dozen shadowy tornadoes tore apart all of Little Dark Shadow's attack. Then, Ultimate Dark Shadow flashed into the void and crossed 1,000,000 miles. Boom! Right after that, Ultimate Dark Shadow moved to the space directly above. A destructive energy was brewing in the air, as if a demon lord or a dragon king had descended. A breath suddenly swept toward Little Dark Shadow. Roar! Ultimate Dark Shadow raised his head and let out a deafening roar. When Little Dark Shadow's breath was shattered, a dark spear suddenly shot toward Little Dark Shadow from the torn space. Clang! Ultimate Dark Shadow spread his dark dragon wings and blocked the spear head-on. This was something that only Ultimate Dark Shadows had. Other Dark Shadows couldn't take the spear's power head-on at all. Innate Dark Shadows were strong in their control and control of space. Their bodies weren't as strong compared to other races of the same level. Only the 14th and 15th Dark Shadows were able to overcome this weakness. Their bodies were as strong as the primordial dragons. Since you want to die. Ultimate Dark Shadow's pure strength combined with his Dark Shadow race's talent. His strength moved like dragons and snakes to his arm, and he instantly possessed it. The Ultimate Darkness Shadow blocked the spear. The darkness condensed into a palm, and a terrifying baleful aura suddenly erupted from the Devil Race's giant palm. Meanwhile, Little Shadow stepped on the waves and came over. His dragon wings rolled and flapped, and the overwhelming dark energy storm wreaked havoc and changed. His demeanor and appearance had actually turned into Lin Chen's appearance, and he rapidly drew his spear to attack. Clang! 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 The two Ultimate Dark Shadows fought head-on. As they shuttled through the void at lightning speed, they unleashed terrifying pure strength and murderous aura. This battle became more and more intense, and even Saint Kings were unable to peek at the level. The Ultimate Shadow could conceal one's aura and move freely through the void. Even Saint Kings were unable to detect it. After fighting for a long time, Ultimate Dark Shadow began to sweat profusely. His state of mind was wavering. F***ck, it's been so long. How can he still fight? Didn't Tuo Xing, that old bastard, say that if he didn't have enough pills, he would consume them at a terrifying rate? I haven't been able to sense Son of Heaven Yin's aura since the beginning, so he must have run away on his own. There's no one coming to save this seat anymore. Could it be that he wanted to stall for time and wait for reinforcements to arrive? That must be it. Ultimate Dark Shadow was having a hard time dealing with Little Shadow, who was going all out. It wasn't that he couldn't beat Little Shadow, but if he continued to stall like this, there was no telling what would happen. Ultimate Dark Shadow hurriedly said, I said that you really can't kill me, so let me go. Let's just treat it as a similar experience, okay? Big Brother, what's the point of persisting like this? We shouldn't be risking our lives like this. It wasn't easy for us to come to this world and escape the sinful Tuo Xing. Are we really going to risk our lives here? There are so many opportunities in this vast galaxy that we haven't explored yet. Are you really willing to give up like this? Ultimate Dark Shadow panicked. He had been threatening and tempting Little Shadow all this time in an attempt to make him stop. He had no choice but to panic. At this juncture, he could escape safely as long as he shook off Little Shadow. Other than Little Shadow, who was also an Ultimate Dark Shadow, who could track him down, the other experts of the Dark Shadow race, even if they were at the Saint King realm, might not be able to find him while he was hiding. As long as he could shake off his opponent here, he wouldn't lose. No matter how hard or soft the Ultimate Dark Shadow tried, Little Shadow remained firm and unwavering from beginning to end. He continued to attack with all his might, and Ultimate Dark Shadow's mind was in a mess. He was hesitant when he attacked. I see it, Little Shadow suddenly smiled knowingly. Holding the Shadow Spear in his hand, Little Shadow recklessly pierced through Ultimate Shadow's defense and violently stabbed into the center of Ultimate Shadow's chest. Ultimate Dark Shadow was wounded, but he took the opportunity to claw at Little Shadow. Little Shadow coughed up blood and was seriously injured. Ha ha, I think you've lost your mind just to hurt me, Poochie. Before Ultimate Dark Shadow could feel proud, he suddenly coughed up a mouthful of blood. The Dark Shadow aura swirling around his body kept throbbing. Disbelief was written all over his face as he looked at the blood clot in his palm and his saint body that was gradually dimming. The 14th stage Ultimate Dark Shadow had no weaknesses. However, that didn't mean that Tua Xing had no weaknesses. Little Shadow suddenly laughed. You've always treated Tua Xing like a tool and used his body. You didn't see through his weaknesses. Back then, the heavenly demon Venerable of the demon race left a permanent injury in his body. Even though you've mostly repaired his body later, the injury is still an injury. It's still one of his weaknesses. You've been hiding in Tua Xing's body for a long time, and you've almost become inseparable. If the body is damaged, the main body will also be seriously affected. Ultimate Dark Shadow gritted his teeth. You want to kill me with this? Dark fog surged, and Ultimate Dark Shadow's main body began to peel off from Tua Xing's body. A ferocious Dark Shadow rose, revealing a majestic dragon aura. Ultimate Dark Shadow wanted to escape. No, it's over. Little Shadow shouted coldly. Tua Xing created me to deal with you. Why didn't he have a backup plan? Little Shadow's blood and the blood essence left behind by Ultimate Dark Shadow when he was injured were gathered in his palm. The two types of blood essence spun rapidly, forming a pitch-black space-time vortex in his palm. Heavenly Net Darkness Sealing Art. The Ultimate Dark Shadow lost control of its body and tried to fly toward the vortex. All of its bloodline talents were useless, and it couldn't escape into the void. It was like an eagle whose wings and claws had been cut off. It had completely lost the ability to resist. What is this thing? The Ultimate Shadow roared hysterically. Endless darkness surged out of its body, but it was useless. It was sucked into the Little Shadow's palm. Little Shadow said coldly, "This is the ultimate skill that Tua Xing has engraved in my life since he was born. It's the only skill he researched to counter you when he was alive, and it can take away all of your power. It can only be used when you and I circulate our blood essences at the same time." Ultimate Dark Shadow's pupils shrank. He said in disbelief, Are you fighting for Tua Xing? No. Little Shadow denied. I hate him. I hate him very much. He brought me into this world with extreme intentions, and all I felt was the coldness of this world. But I met Big Brother Lin Chen. The last warmth in this world was given to me by Big Brother Lin Chen. For him, I'm willing to give up my life. And this guy from the 14th episode? Ultimate Dark Shadow screamed like a pig being slaughtered as he was slowly being absorbed. No. ZZZT. His body turned into a vortex and was sucked into the space-time vortex in Little Shadow's palm. The two shadows twisted and tangled together, and the other one finally disappeared completely. A long time later, Little Shadow's demonic eyes flashed with a strange light, but they eventually returned to silence. He turned to look at the void and muttered to himself. From now on, I'm the one and only ultimate Dark Shadow King. Big Brother Lin Chen, I've done it. Little Shadow's mind went blank for a moment, then he escaped into the void and left. Little Shadow Lin Chen had won the final battle of the Dark Shadows, and it had officially come to an end. However, the other storm was getting more and more intense. Chapter 1615. Divine Flame Palace. The wind and clouds changed, and a sinister aura whistled like a hurricane. The top powerhouses of the 36 domains of the sacred boundary more or less sensed it. The providence of the human race seemed to have weakened again. Son of Heaven Een wasn't on the Saint Talent ranking, but he already had the aptitude and combat power of the Saint Talent ranking. Crack, crack, crack. Son of Heaven Yin's sacred body shattered in front of everyone, turning into a pile of dust. In the end, only a few Providence plant pouches and a huge amount of attribute light balls were left. Even his legendary grade 9th grade masterpiece turned into ashes and completely disappeared. Only a pile of attribute light balls was left. Silence. A deathly silence. All the powerhouses, including the Saint Kings, stared in Lin Chen's direction with unprecedented shock in their eyes. Son of Heaven Yin's strength was obvious to all. Even if he was slightly at a disadvantage in that shocking exchange, it was impossible for him to lose. At most, he would be injured. But he was dead. Furthermore, it was a complete and utter death. Not even a trace of it was left behind. Even someone as strong as the Chief Grand Elder of Divine Flame Palace, a supreme Saint King who had existed before the sacred boundary was established, looked as if she had seen a ghost at this moment. It was very comical. Even if she, the Chief Grand Elder, personally went up and could defeat Son of Heaven Een, she would have to pay a certain price to do so. And just defeating and killing were two different concepts, not to mention the fact that Lin Chen had destroyed it with a single punch. How the F***ck did he do it? The few supreme demon venerables of the demon race were dumbfounded as they muttered to themselves, no wonder the higher-ups want us to kill this brat. Is he still F***king human? The powerhouses of the Wu family felt as if they had been struck by lightning. Instantly killing a Saint King with combat power? He must have used some underhanded method to launch a sneak attack. Reality was so absurd, and the truth in front of them was unbelievable. This shocking scene that subverted everyone's worldview completely shattered their understanding. When the attribute light balls were floating in the sky, the sacred dragon swept past and took away all of Son of Heaven Yin's attribute light balls and attribute treasure chests. 4-piece war god set remaining charge, 47% to 49%. Host has received 450 Saint Rune energy, 120 top-notch Heaven's Path points, 45 Saint Technique soul essences. Orange talent exclusive treasure chest open boom. Lin Chen didn't have the time to care about what he had obtained after getting rid of Son of Heaven Een. He shattered the void with a step and turned around. As Lin Chen surveyed the entire battlefield, his pure strength soared, and the might of a war god swept through the entire battlefield. Anyone who was swept by his gaze, even a Saint King, would feel their hair stand on end. TSK. Rip. Space exploded, and Lin Chen transformed into a ray of golden light, crushing everything in his path. He actually took the lead to kill the Clear Sky Saint King and the Devil Race. Not good. This brat is attacking. Don't be afraid, we will retreat together with Clear Sky Saint King. The few strongest demon venerables shouted coldly. The Clear Sky Saint King pulled his hands horizontally and tore apart the void, creating a space vortex filled with demonic chi. It was as if the elders of the Dark Shadow race had sensed the change in battle. In the blink of an eye, a myriad of changes had occurred. The elders suddenly shouted coldly, "Stop him! Don't let him escape!" All the elders of the Dark Shadow race made their moves together. The shadows that covered the sky howled like a tornado and blocked off the clear sky Saint King's space tunnel. This unique space tunnel that led to the Devil Race was constructed by many Heaven Demon Venerables. They couldn't break it instantly, but it was no problem for the Dark Shadow Race to temporarily block it. Rip. In the blink of an eye, the golden divine light had already crushed the void. Lin Chen stepped on the divine light, and his divine might was unparalleled. The golden light of the war god covered the entire sky, and he descended in front of the clear sky Saint King and the demon venerables. His cold eyes swirled with a tinge of azure as if he could challenge everything in the world. Counterattack, don't let him succeed. The demon venerables roared, and their demonic bodies expanded. Some of them even transformed into all kinds of terrifying demonic creatures. Die. Lin Chen punched out with his fist. His fist shone with a dazzling golden light as he punched out. In the blink of an eye, only a single beam of divine light was left. It flashed past, sweeping across the Thousand Realms world as the wind from his fist tore apart the heavens and earth. Boom! The wind from the fist was swirling with golden light, and it was like a tornado that crushed the defense of the strongest demon venerables. All of them were severely injured, and they were on the verge of death. Rip! Lin Chen didn't even look at the demon venerables. He flashed near the clear sky Saint King, and he suddenly jumped up. He spun in the air and smashed his leg down. The Dark Shadow Race had sealed off all directions, and the clear sky Saint King had nowhere to run. Damn bastard, I'm going to fight it out with you. I'm not that useless son of heaven. The clear sky Saint King roared angrily as he activated his saint power and demon blood. His left palm glowed brightly as it emitted boundless saint light. It was overflowing with boundless righteous energy. The eternal divine light condensed into 4 rotating blades. Demonic chi rose from his right palm, and it was like a mountain and sea prison. The demonic chi was like a dragon. The clear sky Saint King used the human race's high-grade orange tier battle skill and the demon race's ultimate skill. He pushed both of his hands toward the sky, and his killing moves exploded. Rip! Bang! The space sealed off by the Dark Shadow Race was directly blasted open, and a storm swept across the sky. The space in the eastern part of the Sage Monarch region trembled as if an apocalypse had arrived. Only the peak stage rank 9 experts could barely see that the golden divine light had torn apart all of the clear sky Saint King's attacks and smashed onto his head. When the demonic chi tide and the holy light dissipated, all the experts could clearly see that Lin Chen was covered in divine light and was floating in the air. The clear sky Saint King stood behind Lin Chen, and the saint blood on his head flowed down his face. Although the top of his head was broken, and it wasn't a fatal injury in theory, the clear sky Saint King's eyes were dull and lifeless at this moment. His saint body was the same as the other demon venerables, and it had cracked open at the same time. Lin Chen's back was facing the clear sky Saint King. He raised his eyebrows and smiled coldly. Go and study your demon race's ultimate skill at the end of hell. Crack, crack, crack. The clear sky Saint King and the demon venerables started to crack open. Countless crisp, cracking sounds reverberated, and it was like the prelude of heaven defying. It was deeply imprinted in every expert's heart, and their pupils trembled intensely. Bang, bang, bang. Explosions sounded. The demon venerables and clear sky Saint King exploded instantly, turning into dust and disappearing into ashes. At this moment, Sacred Prison, Wu Clan, Divine Flame Palace, regardless of whether it was the third-rank saints or Saint Kings, all the experts' mouths trembled, and their hearts twitched. Their expressions changed from bewilderment to terror, then to fear. That's right, not shock but fear. Complete and utter fear. Killing 2 kings consecutively. In less than 10 breaths of time, Lin Chen had killed 2 kings consecutively. Killing 2 Saint Kings consecutively in an instant. Killing the first one could be barely explained by conspiracies and other reasons. But to kill 2 of them in a row, that was a blatant suppression. Rumble. When Lin Chen's gaze looked around Divine Flame Palace's territory, heaven and earth prostrated, and he looked down on the world. His cold smile was like a blade scraping the bones, and it was terrifying. Today, all the Saint Kings who are my enemies must die. Chapter 16:16. The Clear Sky Saint King was a peerless hero who dared to go against the general trend of the world. He had comprehended the demon race's supreme technique and was like a centipede that refused to fall even after death. Even if the Clear Sky Saint King was a living corpse, a Saint King was still a Saint King after all. He still possessed the battle strength of a Saint King. Such a peerless hero was turned into dust, just like that, destroyed by the hands of a young man who challenged a 9th-rank sect. This unforgettable scene was engraved into the bones of all the experts. They deeply felt a kind of joy and fortune. How fortunate that they did not have to face Lin Chen. When countless experts met Lin Chen's gaze, they felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar. The coldness was bone-piercing. Even a mysterious existence like Wuji Old Man's pupils shrank. Just how heaven-defying was this young man? Killing 2 Saint Kings at the life and death realm. Saint Kings were supreme existences who could support the heavens and support the earth. Yet, they were killed by him with 1 punch. Lin Chen's servants were shocked at first, but they were soon overjoyed. That's right, this was their lord. How could they, the geniuses of this era, subdue others so easily? Only their lord, Lin Chen, was an unsurpassable legend in this era. He was an existence that they would follow even if they had to give up their lives. Saint Kings were killed with 1 punch. He was so strong that there was no logic to it. Gui Jianchou said, "They're back, they're all back." Yun Tianguang said, "My lord's invincible killing move can actually be used again." Long Jiushan swallowed his saliva. Damn, too strong. Killing a Saint King with 1 punch. What kind of concept is this? I might not even be able to withstand 1 punch from my lord, even if I cultivate my entire life. Sidu Chongxing said, "This punch is equivalent to my lord's handsome killing power." Ji Wuchen said, "No wonder my lord dared to lead us to challenge the Divine Flame Palace. With such a killing move, Saint Kings are nothing." Zi Qianchou said, "It's time to counterattack. Everyone, delay the opponents and leave them to my lord. Don't let them escape." The experts of various factions reacted extremely quickly and instantly launched an even more intense battle. As expected of the big brother of the future Dark Shadow King, let's follow them and cut off their escape route. As soon as the Dark Shadow clan took action, they immediately intervened in many battles. Holy Prison, Wu Family, and Divine Flame Palace couldn't get away. Boom! Lin Chen shattered the heavens with a single step, causing the winds and clouds to change as he shot straight towards the direction of the Divine Flame Palace. The beautiful eyes of the young woman in a jade-green dress shook while her heart felt like it was covered in coldness, and then her figure flashed towards the direction of the Council of Elders. The purplish-black aura of calamity spread out like clouds and smoke. Lin Pingon instantly stood in front of her and made a funny face. "You old witch, I haven't played enough yet. Just stay here obediently." The 10 supreme elders of the Divine Flame Palace's Elder Council were the first to turn pale. Lin Chen's figure moved to the side, leaving behind countless afterimages of divine radiance. He accumulated strength and raised his hand, causing his left palm to slash out diagonally like a blade, and it slashed out a strand of divine radiance. Rip! The pure power of the divine light pierced through the protective defenses of the 3 supreme elders, severely injuring them on the spot. Lin Chen flipped his right palm and flicked his fingers. The pure power pierced through the sacred bodies of 2 supreme elders like a sharp blade. Almost in an instant, Lin Chen exchanged his palms for fists and suddenly punched out violently with both fists. A gust of golden wind broke through the sky like a fierce dragon, tearing apart everything in its path and hitting the 5 supreme elders who were trying to escape from afar. Bang! 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 The 5 elders' defenses were broken and they spat out blood. They were directly crippled. The 10 supreme elders of the Divine Flame Palace were all crippled and severely injured. Host has triggered the effect of the ultimate heaven-defying being. Successfully insta-killed 10 targets. Under everyone's gaze, the elders of the Divine Flame Palace's Elder Council all began to crack, shatter, and die on the spot. They died without leaving even a trace, turning into a pile of elemental light balls. All the supreme elders of the Divine Flame Palace felt as if they had fallen into an ice cellar, and a chill went straight to the top of their heads. The experts of the Divine Flame Palace had the same thought at the same time. The Divine Flame Palace was finished. An emotion that they had long forgotten was born in their hearts, and it was called despair. The Divine Flame Palace was an unparalleled giant when the sacred boundary was first established. It was a true giant. They had never thought that the Divine Flame Palace would have such a day, facing such a moment of despair. No matter if it was a 9-revolution saint, a half-step saint king, or even a saint king, they were all killed with one punch. Instant death with one punch. Even the war of the 9 clans back then was not as terrifying as this. At the moment when the supreme elders of the Divine Flame Palace were in despair, Lin Chen did not stop. He turned around and rushed toward the expert of the sacred purgatory closest to him. Ing Chuanxiu's mouth twitched, and his body shook violently. King 250 times. CK, this brat has his eyes on me. Don't come over. Divine Feather Technique. Ing Chuanxiu bit the tip of his tongue, and a pair of divine light wings unfolded behind his back. They were white and flawless, burning with a vast heavenly fire. His saint blood was like flames burning all over his body. His appearance rapidly aged, and the divine light wings turned into a ray of divine light, traveling through the void at the fastest speed. Lang Fanyun's attack missed. Because the Dark Shadow tribe had distorted the nearby space, he could not rush out of the area outside the Divine Flame Palace. He retreated to the side of the Rakshasa Saint King Zhinchan, who was fighting fiercely with Shangguanju. Bang! Lin Chen took a step, and like a ray of divine light, he tore through the void and chased after the White Feather Saint King, Ing Chuanxiu. Ing Chuanxiu hurriedly said, Zhinchan, let's work together to deal with Lin Chen. Zhinchan, who was inside the Rakshasa Saint's body, cursed. CKU. Why are you looking at me like that? Can't you see that I have a guardian venerable with me? Why the CK did you bring him here? Ing Chuanxiu said, then do you want me to wait for my death? Don't King forget that I took a bullet for you back then. Zhinchan said, stop bullshitting. He's coming, CK. Kaboom! Lin Chen was like a god descending from the heavens, stepping on golden divine light as he descended. Everywhere he passed, golden light shrouded the world. Lang Fanyun followed closely behind. With a blade in hand, his domineering aura surged. I'll fight the Saint Kings of the Holy Hell one by one. I'll start with you too. Lin Chen faced the 2 Saint Kings of the Holy Hell and raised his hand to punch. Rakshasa Saint Body, release. Divine Feather Ultimate Strike. Zhinchan immediately released the Rakshasa Saint Body. With a flick of his finger, the Rakshasa Saint Body, which was hundreds of thousands of feet long, swept forward. The divine feathers on Ing Chuanxiu's back flapped, and a snowflake-like blade light swept across the sky. The 2 Saint Kings were almost forced to use all their strength. Lang Fanyun slashed down violently, shattering the blade light that filled the sky. Bang! 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 The 2 Saint Kings took the attacks of Lin Chen and Lang Fanyun head-on, and were not injured, but kaboom! A towering stream of fire shuttled through the vacuum and penetrated Saint King Zhinchan, burning and penetrating his saint body. It was Shangguanju. Lin Chen was now a bona fide Saint King with pure strength combat strength. When he stood together with Lang Fanyun and Shangguanju, they were equivalent to 3 Saint Kings. The 3 of them directly pinned down the 2 Saint Kings of the Holy Hell and beat them up. This was completely different from an ordinary battle between Saint Kings. If there were 3 normal Saint Kings, the Holy Hell would not be in such a sorry state. Among them was Lin Chen, a monster who defied the natural order. Once they were hit by him, they would lose everything and be doomed eternally. The terrifying Saint Kings fought with all their might. This unprecedented battle would completely disrupt the situation of the entire sacred boundary. A new overlord was rushing onto the stage of the sacred boundary's history in an unprecedented manner. Chapter 16-17. On the battlefield, the experts from the Wu family, the Holy Prison, the Divine Flame Palace, and the other 9th-grade sects who had seen through the void and were watching the battle from afar were all dumbfounded. Those Saint Kings, who were all legends in the past, looked as if they had seen a ghost at this moment. They were crushed by Lin Chen to the point that they covered their heads and scurried away like rats, not daring to even let out a fart. Damn it, how could they not be afraid? This kid was a jinx. Sage King experts, 1 punch each. How could they continue fighting? The battle between the Sage Kings was like a giant storm. The aftershocks of the attacks shrouded all the experts. The 2 Sage Kings from Holy Jail had to be on guard against Lin Chen. He had to use all the hidden killer moves he had in the past. This caused their attention to be focused on Lin Chen. The 3rd Sage King had an opportunity to beat him up. This time, the 2 Sage Kings from Holy Jail were going all out. The Clear Sky Sage King was a zombie who had the battle prowess of a Sage King but had lost the foundation of a Sage King. However, these 2 were living Sage Kings at their peak, and they were still in a sorry state. Under such circumstances, the other sages decisively stopped fighting. Everyone fled quickly as if they were fleeing for their lives. Lin Chen's servant team had already informed Jiang Taishu through telepathy. Lin Chen had foreseen this and informed everyone to take refuge. Rumble! Heaven and earth were turned upside down. The fist wind that contained endless brilliance shot out in all directions. Although many experts had already taken action, they were directly smashed into pieces when they were caught in the chaotic storm. No matter what defensive means, ultimate techniques, or trump cards they had, as long as they were injured by the aftershocks of Lin Chen's attacks, they would be killed instantly. The Wuji old man's pupils shrank. The 2 little girls beside him said worriedly, "Great-grandfather, what should we do? It seems like the situation is very serious." The Wuji old man showed a trace of fear. "Oh no, if this continues, everyone will be killed. This kid's attacks are too perverted. There is no chance of survival at all." Once they were hit by the aftershocks of Lin Chen's attacks, even if it only slightly scratched the sage body's defense, they would die if they bled. In the past, when Lin Chen used his heaven-defying talent, he was still weak and had only displayed the tip of the iceberg, but now that he had reached the Saint King realm, the lives of ordinary masters were nothing more than grass to him, not even worth mentioning. If Lin Chen was an ordinary expert, the Wuji old man would not be so afraid. He Wuji old man could even calculate the best retreat plan for everyone. But Lin Chen wasn't like that. He was the only variable. The only thing the everlasting old man couldn't see through was Lin Chen's fate. He couldn't even tell when Lin Chen would make his move. Elders! It was at this moment Little Dark Shadow returned. The elders of the Dark Shadow race were slightly shocked when they saw his gaze. After Little Shadow absorbed the ultimate shadow, all of the elders could immediately sense the change in him. It was extraordinary. Elders, follow me. Distort the space around us and cut off the connection between space. Cut off all escape routes for the enemy. Little Shadow looked in Lin Chen's direction and said in a deep voice, "We will kill all the enemies here." Yes. The elders of the Dark Shadow tribe immediately took action and sneaked into the void. Previously, the elders of the Dark Shadow tribe did not fully approve of Lin Chen. He had a strong team of humans, but it did not mean that he would be recognized by the elders of the Dark Shadow tribe. But since he displayed such heaven-defying combat strength, the Dark Shadow tribe was determined to befriend Lin Chen. He would be of great help to the future of the Dark Shadow tribe. Innate Dark Shadow Technique, Space Twist. With Little Shadow as the center, all the elders of the Dark Shadow tribe maintained their bodies in the endless void. When they activated a trace of blood essence, endless shadows permeated the void. The space in the eastern part of the Sage Monarch domain was instantly reversed. Heaven and earth were turned upside down, cutting off the escape routes of the Sage Kings. On the other side, Lin Chen countered and countered, suppressing the Holy Hell's 2 Saint Kings along the way. He alone was able to suppress the defenses of 2 Saint Kings. Lin Chen was not afraid that his attacks would kill his servants instantly. The ultimate heaven-defying talent's range of judgment was hostility. Only when he was hostile to a specific target would an instant kill effect be triggered. If the target did not have hostility, the heaven-defying talent would not be used. Even if Lin Chen crippled the servants, then instant kill would not be triggered. Lin Chen's other talents were the same. Combat was not the most important factor to trigger the talent. Hostility was the key to activating the talent. Chi. Clang. A flash of sword light cut off Ying Chuanqiu's left arm. Divine flames condensed into a line of blood that penetrated Zhen Chan's chest. The 2 kings of Holy Hell vomited blood at the same time. They were focused on defending against Lin Chen's fierce attack. Lang Fanyun and Shang Guanju took advantage of the opportunity to severely injure them. Hang in there, hang in there. Whether it's that kind of instant kill or this kid's sudden increase in pure strength, they are all external forces. They can't last for too long. As long as we hang in there, Holy Hell will win. This kid's true cultivation is trash. When he uses all his tricks, Holy Hell can destroy him in minutes. The injured Ying Chuanqiu roared in his heart. Suddenly, orange flames burned all over Lin Chen's body. Consumed 4,700 top talent point. The host has activated the orange grade talent, Absolute Life and Death. Target locked. Sage King Cultivation. Lin Chen activated Absolute Life and Death again, and the target was Ying Chuanqiu. As his vitality burned rapidly, his pure strength soared again. The God of War set's charge dropped sharply. Lin Chen swung his fist forward, accumulating strength for a punch that could turn the world around. Boom! Bang! An explosion raged. Endless waves of air rolled, and the 2 Sage Kings' incomplete defenses were completely shattered. Oh no! A bad feeling flashed across the 2 kings' mind. They had not recovered from the heavy injuries that Shang Guanju and Lang Fanyun had inflicted on them. Chi. Lin Chen struck out a few times. Pure strength tore through their shoulders, and sage blood splattered everywhere. Almost like flowing water, Lin Chen did not hesitate at all. He turned around and charged toward the Wu family's Sage King, Wu Weiyang. Crack, crack, crack. After that, crisp, cracking sounds reverberated in every powerful being's heart like a nightmare. No one could resist this extreme cold and suffocating feeling of oppression. At that moment, the sage bodies of these 2 powerful beings were broken. Their eyes were dull and lifeless, and their vitality was fading rapidly. The last thing they saw before they died was the back of a silver-robed figure bathed in blood. Bang! Bang! The 2 Sage Kings shattered and turned into dust. The Holy Hell's Sage King Bayu and Sage King Rakshasa had been around for thousands of eras. They had a long history and were the most powerful beings of every era. These 2 people, who were known as the legends of the Antiquity Age, came to an end on the eve of the Sacred Boundaries Revolution. They welcomed the final chapter. All the powerful beings looked at Lin Chen, who turned around and left, their hearts trembling in fear. Ending the legend and killing 2 Sage Kings. This was Lin Chen, who had broken through the holy hell and challenged a rank 9 sect in this era. Who could stop him? Chapter 16:18. Looking at Lin Chen's resolute back, Shangguanju's beautiful eyes flickered with splendor. It was as if he had not killed 2 supreme saint kings, but had instead killed 2 insignificant chickens. Even the lives of holy kings couldn't cause any waves in front of him. Even though she knew that Lin Chen was a genius. Even though she knew that Lin Chen's growth curve could only be described as beyond common sense. But his actions had exceeded her expectations time and time again. When she realized it, he seemed to have walked far away in front of her, declaring war on a 9th-grade force, breaking through the holy prison, challenging 9 holy geniuses, and even holy kings couldn't stop his advancement. She had never seen such a man before. It was difficult to describe 1/10,000th of his amazement. Shangguanju recalled her past. "Master, why did you arrange a marriage for me?" "Because a girl has to have a family. Your family died in the 100 Clan War, you can't always be alone." "But, master, he said that I was only worthy to be his concubine, and I could casually slap him with one hand. Why should I marry such a weak and arrogant person? Little Jewer, your talent is very strong, but I don't want to marry. Men are all beasts who think with their lower bodies. Humph, I want to rely on my fists to beat all those forces and sects who look down on women until they submit. Jewer, don't mess around. This world is very big and boundless. You might meet a man whose cultivation is lower than yours but stronger than yours one day. With your personality, something will happen." "Hee, master, don't worry. Such a person doesn't exist. I'll set a small goal first, to get a place on the Sacred Boundaries Genius Saint list." Shangguanju's beautiful eyes flickered for a moment. She sighed slightly, smiled, and muttered to herself, "Master, the person you're talking about came too late. When I was born, you weren't born. When you were born, I was already old, on the other side." Seeing Lin Chen, who was stepping on divine light and aggressively attacking, Wu Weiyang's face was full of fear, and she hurriedly waved her hand. "Lin Chen, we can still talk." Boom! Lin Chen didn't waste any time. He charged his war god's gauntlet and unleashed a powerful punch. Damn it! Wu Weiyang could only resist with all her might. Fang Ling and Lang Fanyun blocked Wu Weiyang from the left and right. Create more fighter planes for Lin Chen. At this time, Lin Chen's death seal sent out a spiritual fluctuation. Jiang Taishu's heart shook. After receiving Lin Chen's message, he immediately turned around and rushed towards Lin Pingyan. "Senior from the Divine Flame Palace, I have something to say." Jiang Taishu's arrival caused Lin Ping and the green-dressed girl to stop. The girl's eyes flickered as she stared at Jiang Taishu without saying a word. Jiang Taishu continued, "By the order of my lord, I hope that your Xinyan Palace will surrender. Otherwise, my lord will exterminate your Xinyan Palace. My lord is in love with Miss Bai Ruoyan. His message is very simple. If the Xinyan Palace can surrender, he will assist Miss Bai Ruoyan and restore the Xinyan Palace to its former glory. As long as you hand over all the authority to Miss Bai Ruoyan, she will become this generation's Xinyan Palace master." The green-dressed girl clenched her silver teeth. What a joke! That Lin Chen really thought it through. He killed so many deacons, elders, and even the elders of our Divine Flame Palace. Now, our Divine Flame Palace is... "Senior," said Yi Futian. Jiang Taishu interrupted her directly and said casually, "At least the Xinyan Palace's grand elders are still intact, right? My lord only killed the people from the Xinyan Palace who sided with Wu Pianju. Also, you have to understand that our lord is giving a notice to the Xinyan Palace, not negotiating with them. The current Xinyan Palace doesn't have the right to negotiate with our lord. How could a strategist like Jiang Taishu lose his balance in negotiations? He was going to use both soft and hard methods to force the other side to submit. Lin Chen's original words were for them to surrender, but Jiang Taishu wanted to help Lin Chen get a better result, so he directly forced the Grand Elder of the other side to hand over the authority and help by Ruoyan. Jiang Taishu said indifferently, "The possibility of restoring the Xinyan Palace to its former glory, or our direct destruction of the Xinyan Palace, which do you choose? If you continue to resist, it will represent the Xinyan Palace's choice and position. Our Lord will fight to the end." The green-dressed girl clenched her fists. She didn't expect to be forced to this point. How could she not know that Lin Chen's team was powerful? But the great plan of the Saint Talent ranking was about to be implemented. To fight against them was to fight against the entire era. But at this moment, there was no room for hesitation. The green-dressed girl looked at Wu Weiyang, who was in a bitter struggle and was about to collapse. If he died, her choice would directly lead Lin Chen to target the Xinyan Palace. Forget it, the green-dressed girl suddenly sighed. This old one has been eliminated by the era and is no longer suitable to interfere with the sacred boundary and the Xinyan Palace. Go back and tell your lord that this old one is willing to admit defeat. I will let Bai Ruoyan become the lord of the Xinyan Palace as long as he leaves the Xinyan Palace a way out. Haha, as you wish, senior. Jiang Taishu chuckled and ordered the servants to stop attacking the remaining Grand Elders of the Xinyan Palace. Even Qi Fian and Shangguan Wudi stopped fighting against Lan Jingyu. Not attacking Lan Jingyu was the last bit of face that Lin Chen left for the Xinyan Palace. If the honorable protector was killed, the godly flame palace would be destroyed. Lin Chen still wanted Bai Ruoyan to take over the godly flame palace. Before the Grand Elders could react to what was going on, a loud explosion shook the heavens. The terrifying sacred light was on the verge of shattering. The golden divine radiance was continuous and violent, forcing Wu Weiyang to continuously wave the sky prison halberd. Rumble! Lin Chen reached out and grabbed Wu Weiyang's sky prison halberd. The divine power in his 5 fingers suddenly erupted and squeezed the sky prison halberd's blade until it dimmed and trembled. Without giving Wu Weiyang a chance to react, Lang Fanyun and Fong Ling, like Lin Chen's left and right arms, flanked Wu Weiyang and slashed at her with their swords and sabers like scissors. Rumble! Lin Chen did not let go of the opportunity created by Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun. He gathered his strength and punched, hitting the heavenly prison seal on Wu Weiyang's chest. Wu Weiyang spat out blood. According to his previous battle experience and habits, such a small injury was nothing. But this time, it was completely different. He looked at his sacred body that was gradually breaking and shattering in shock, and suddenly laughed at himself. No wonder they died. It's really a power that makes one fear. Wu Weiyang, the Wu family's sage king, had made great contributions to the martial god family in the past, and his name was known throughout history. The human race wasn't born after the sacred boundary was established. Before the sacred boundary was established, the human race was famous among the various races, but it was also very chaotic. The martial god family was already a powerhouse among the human race before the sacred boundary was established. This Saint King, who had once fought with the strongest clan in the Divine River Galaxy, the Azura clan, and supported the martial god clan, had never imagined that today's battle would actually be the end of his path. Wu Weiyang faced death calmly and sneered. Lin Chen, you are indeed heaven-defying. However, you will die soon. This old man guarantees that. Haha, Wu Weiyang's sacred body gradually broke and turned into pieces. His sky prison halberd was also destroyed along with him. The host has activated the ultimate Heaven Defier talent and successfully killed the target. Ultimate Heaven Defier talent time limit ended. God Slayer talent time limit ended. When Lin Chen saw Wu Weiyang die, he breathed a sigh of relief. His face was pale. The 2 supreme talents had almost just suppressed the time. Without the support of the 2 supreme talents, and without the war god set, Lin Chen's battle strength was at most in the range of an ordinary 6th or 7th revolution saint. not to mention that he had used up 90% of his sacred points. Any sixth revolution saint could threaten him. When he looked at the people of the Divine Flame Palace again, the Grand Elders were full of fear and bewilderment. Towards Lin Chen's battle prowess, they already felt an unprecedented fear. They no longer thought that the Divine Flame Palace was a colossus that could not be shaken. The moment before this battle ended, a few days ago, another major event happened in the Sage Monarch domain that changed history. It was a change from the Saint Talent list. Chapter 1619. A few days later, on the day of the Divine Flame God investiture ceremony, in a special dimension in the extreme north of the Sage Monarch domain, the Grand Hall was like a relic of a prehistoric civilization that had stood there since ancient times. Ancient talismans burned on the walls, permeating the endless civilizations and evolving the history of the human clan. Buzz. A spatial light pillar bloomed between heaven and earth. The light pillar dissipated, and a handsome gray-robed youth walked slowly with a saber. He had a dignified appearance, sharp eyebrows, and sharp eyes. A green snake-like talisman was engraved between his eyebrows. The holy saber at his waist seemed to have the aura of a divine dragon circling around it. He walked over step by step, and every step he took was filled with saber aura. Whoosh! Spatial light bloomed, and another girl in snow-white clothes appeared. Her skin was smooth, and her eyes were beautiful. Her lips were delicate, and her slender figure was elegant and graceful. The snow-clothed girl was holding a jade rabbit that was surrounded by multicolored light. The 3 rabbits accompanied her as she walked. The young girl seemed to be smiling, but in reality, there was a coldness and arrogance between her brows that kept people 1,000 miles away. She was like a proud phoenix that ignored everything in the mortal world. When she saw the gray-robed youth beside her, her face was full of disdain. "If you didn't come, this gathering would be perfect, and I would be in a good mood," the youth said coldly. "Then you can get lost now and go home to play with your rabbit. Don't be an eyesore here." The girl in snow-white clothes, huh? You dare to ask me to get lost? The youth with the saber. So you don't understand human language? Sorry, treating you as a human is the biggest mistake I've made recently. Boom. The girl in snow-white clothes slapped her hand, and the youth used his movement technique and retreated dozens of steps. He was about to draw his saber. Stop, stop, stop. You guys are always fighting. Can you not fight every time you see each other? That's right, that's right. Don't make others think that we fight every time we see each other. Isn't that so? Hurry up and fight. I suggest you fight harder. The handsome ones have already gone in, and the ugly ones are still fighting. They went in? Are you done? No way, brother. You can fight like this? Voices of ridicule and mockery reverberated in the surroundings. In the sky, countless spatial light pillars bloomed. A group of legendary characters walked out of the spatial light pillars. Some of them had picturesque facial features, elegant demeanor, and seemed to be in control of thousands of miles of mountains and rivers. Or, like an overlord, he would personally lead his troops into battle, fully displaying the will of a king. Or perhaps she was beautiful and flawless, revealing a peerless beauty with a sweet smile. Or perhaps he was standing tall like a mountain. When his eyes were closed, the phenomenon of thousands of Buddhas worshipping their ancestors appeared, suppressing the demons. Some had the backs of tigers and waists of bears, and their vital energy and blood were exuberant like primordial creatures. As they breathed and inhaled, it was as if a storm had descended, and numerous dragon-shaped airflows crushed through space. Sometimes, the glow of lightning was illusory and flickering like dragons and snakes, and a myriad of bolts of lightning flashed with a flip of his hand. Every single move he made caused the Grand Tao to rumble and caused the wind and clouds to suddenly change. Or they carried holy bows on their back. Their sharpness was restrained, and they were like ascetic cultivators. It was fine if they didn't move, but when they did, the universe would change colors. There were too many strange phenomena. When this group of people appeared, they became the center of the world. It was as if the sun, moon, and stars had all lost their light. It was as if the world was revolving around them. This was a group of true legends. What kind of monstrous genius was he? He wasn't even worth mentioning. They were dozens of Saint Talents. Seeing that everyone had arrived, the snow-robed girl snorted coldly and walked into the main hall with Jade Rabbit in her arms. An elegant young master patted the gray-robed youth and said with a smile, "Let's go, Brother Yun. Don't bother with her." The cold gray-robed youth revealed a trace of a smile for the first time. He nodded and said, "All right, I'll give you face." The saints entered the hall. In the dilapidated ancient hall, brand-new dragon and phoenix chairs were neatly placed. Dozens of terrifyingly powerful Saint Talents sat there. All of them had arrogant expressions, and their temperaments were extraordinary. No one was willing to submit to anyone, and the atmosphere was as if they would fight at the slightest disagreement. Today was destined to be a historical moment. A total of 150 Saint Talents on the Saint Talent roll had gathered here. They were discussing the important matter of creating a prosperous era. There were a total of 878 Saint Talents nominated on the Saint Talent roll, and there were 122 vacant positions. Haha, looks like everyone is here. At this moment, a figure faintly appeared on the screen in the ancient hall. The moment this person appeared, the tense atmosphere in the ancient hall instantly cooled down. It was as if he alone was enough to suppress all the Saint Talents present. Let's not talk nonsense. Everyone here more or less knows about the recent event. The God Emperor's remains have opened, and the gods of the sacred boundary have already come out. Now is an unprecedented opportunity. The God Emperor's remains are an opportunity that only exists in legends. Regardless of how long the battle of the gods will last, even after it's over, they will be covered in injuries. Moreover, regardless of whether the gods are recuperating or breaking through, their final destination will be the God world. In other words, the gods have already abandoned the sacred boundary. Now, the sacred boundary needs a new master, who can lead the sacred boundary to new heights and create new supreme experts. There is only one answer, and that is us, the Saint Talent roll. The person behind the screen had a gentle and refined voice, but there was an invisible and passionate battle fire burning in the hearts of every Saint Talent. Let's unite and coordinate all the forces to build the strongest force. We have the natural son of the martial god and the daughter of the strongest pill god. We have the strongest foundation in the sacred boundary. As long as we unite, the day of unifying the sacred boundary is just around the corner. All the forces that submit to us are equal, and everyone can cultivate orange-grade techniques. Everyone has the right to enjoy sage pills. That gentle and refined voice gradually became louder and louder. The figure behind the screen slowly stood up, and a surge of battle intent rose up from him. Let us sweep away those lowly bloodlines and exterminate all the mortal beings. All the forces that resist us will be exterminated. Those trash mortals who don't have the bloodline of the saints will all be exterminated. Let us control the destiny of the human race and create a golden age with only the saints. Then we will sweep away all the races and unify the universe. A golden age with only the saints. Why should we worry about not being able to exterminate the so-called demons, dragons, and demons? Everyone, in this world, is there anything more wonderful than becoming the creator of the universe? The man behind the screen was slightly intoxicated, and then he laughed. If anyone wants to withdraw now, I won't stop them. If you want to withdraw, you can leave now. Inside the ancient palace, the various Saint Talents were either interested, eager to fight, eager to try, or expressionless. However, none of them stood up. Everyone passed. The man behind the screen laughed. Looks like it's confirmed. If that's the case, then there's no problem. If we join forces, no one will be able to stop us. It's time to rewrite history. We will personally create a history and civilization that is second only to the God realm. The era of the gods has passed. Now it's our era. The Saint Talent role started a revolution. An unprecedented storm would sweep through the 36 domains of the sacred boundary. Chapter 1620. The 100 Sages started the revolution. They wanted to create a sacred world with only sages. The number of saints determined the fate of the sacred boundary, and fate determined the height of the top fighters. For example, the sacred boundary only had one spiritual connecting saint in every era, and it was limited by fate. Creating a holy world that only had holy spirits and saints would cause one's luck to soar to unprecedented heights. However, the price was also obvious, which was to eliminate the mortals. In the eyes of the saints, mortals occupied fate but did nothing. Only by coordinating fate could they create a prosperous era. Sacred boundary, Xuanyu. The sky was clear in Sunset City, and the sun was shining brightly. The city was packed with people. There were 7 saints giving lectures today, which attracted countless combat emperors who wanted to enter Sunset City. Being able to receive guidance from a saint was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity that couldn't be missed. The 7 saints sat cross-legged in the Sunset Square, giving lectures one after another. The 7th saint, Lingyu Saint, was a beautiful woman with a cold and indifferent expression. She was the saint with the highest cultivation level present. The one giving the lecture was Lingyu Saint, and she was answering the questions of the questioners. This is the fundamental difference between battle aura and saint power. Before becoming a saint, it's extremely difficult to use orange grade technique. Only a few geniuses can cross this boundary. The combat emperors and geniuses were all shocked after hearing this. Suddenly, a genius asked, "Senior Lingyu, how did the legendary First Revolution Saint and Ninth Revolution Saint and Saint Ruler cultivate to become Saint Kings?" As soon as he said that, countless gazes shifted to Lingyu Saint, filled with curiosity. Sensing everyone's burning gazes, Lingyu Saint couldn't refuse. She could only take a serious attitude and solemnly say, "Saints who open 81 to 90 saint points are called Heaven Opening Realm, which is the peak of the saint realm. Every Heaven Opening Realm cultivator is an almighty of the human race. From the 91 saint points onwards, all of them are concentrated in the brain. The slightest carelessness will result in the destruction of the spiritual saint body. After the 90 saint points, the difficulty of opening each saint point is no less difficult than going through a life and death transformation. One saint point is one revolution, and after 9 revolutions, 99 saint points will be completed. The 100th saint point is the end of the saint realm." Speaking of this, her cold demeanor revealed a rare trace of respect. Only by opening the 100th saint point can one be called a sage ruler. A sage king is a king among sages. It's extremely difficult to open 100 saint point. It's not like other saint points that can be opened in one go. Not only does it require a combination of potential, opportunity, foundation, state of mind, and other factors, one also has to control 99 saint points to open it step by step. Those who open the 100th holy point for the first time are half-step holy kings. Only by stepping into the half-step holy king can one accumulate enough energy to break through to the holy king realm. Saint Lingyu's palm floated a ball of cold ice crystals formed from the condensation of saint power. She pointed at the ice crystals and continued, "We're good at using pure dragon power units as the approximate power of saint power, and 1 trillion dragon power units is the power of one supreme. After the 9th transformation saint, if you want to break through the half-step saint kinghood and become a quasi-saint kinghood, you need to accumulate saint power equivalent to 500,000 venerable power in order to open the 100th saint point." Countless geniuses sucked in a breath of cold air. 1 trillion dragon power units was already an astronomical figure to them, and this was only the power of one supreme? but a half-step holy king could control 500,000 venerable power. This was the ultimate existence that could destroy countless realms with a single finger. Saint Ling Yu continued. And only when you're a half-step saint kinghood and accumulate the power of 1,000,000 venerable power in the 100th saint point can you completely open the last saint point of a sage. So, those who have a good foundation in the cavern expansion and cavern condensation realms, as well as those who have a perfect breakthrough in the heaven opening realm, can reach the saint kinghood faster. Saint power equivalent to 1,000,000 venerable power. A sage king could control such a powerful cultivation. No wonder he was the king among sages. He deserved to be. At this moment, someone joked. Maybe there's a monster that surpasses the saint level in this world and controls the power of 1,000,000 venerable power before becoming a sage king. What would happen then? Saint Ling Yu shook her head and laughed. There can't be such a ridiculous thing. There's no precedent in history, some curious geniuses asked with their imaginations running wild. A sage king is so powerful. He's probably immortal, right? Can anyone in this world kill a sage king? Saint Ling Yu said calmly, impossible. Other than a few wars in the distant past, there's no existence that can threaten a sage king's life. Before she could finish, there was a clap of thunder. The sky suddenly darkened, and the wind and clouds changed. A gloomy and deadly aura rose between heaven and earth, and the entire sky cracked open. Countless people felt a heavy pressure in their hearts, as if something was suppressing their aura. They saw a blood-red beam of light appear from the crack in the sky. It looked like the sky had been cut open, and it was extremely strange. The blood-red beam of light pierced through the sky and the entire Xuanyu. It extended endlessly, and all the strong people in Xuanyu could see it clearly. Saint Ling Yu's pupils constricted, and she panicked. A blood-red beam appears, and a sage king is destroyed. This is only recorded in ancient books. It's the phenomenon of a sage king being destroyed. Boom! Everyone's mind suddenly exploded. A sage king was destroyed? Didn't this mean that a sage king had died in the sacred boundary at this very moment? Oh my God! That was a sage king who could control the power of 1,000,000 people. Who in the world could kill a saint king? Impossible! Saint Ling Yu's face turned pale as she screamed. There's no possibility in this world that can threaten a sage king. A sage king is immortal and indestructible. It's impossible for him to die. Could it be that a supreme true God has appeared? It was not just Sunset City. The entire Xuanyu, no, the 36 domains, was in an uproar. Only a few top strong people could sense the death of a sage king on the saint talent ranking. However, the death of a sage king would affect the entire sacred boundary. That blood-red beam of light pierced through the 36 domains, and all the forces in the sacred boundary were shocked. An unprecedented earthquake swept through the entire sacred boundary after countless eras. However, this seemed to impact everyone's understanding. This blood-red beam was only the first one. Boom! Boom! Then, another 2 blood-red beams of light pierced through the sky. All the strong people were dumbfounded as they took in deep breaths and trembled. What the F***ck is going on? 3 blood-red beams. Didn't this mean that another 3 sage kings had died in such a short period of time? That was a F***king sage king. Not a battle emperor. Are you kidding me? Even the storyteller next door would not dare to brag like this. Kaboom! At this moment the pressure increased again. The sky cracked open, and a dark and gloomy blood-red beam pierced through the sky, piercing through the entire sacred boundary's sky. Silence. Eerie silence. This was the most unified moment in the sacred boundary's history, because countless strong people and living beings had all fallen into an eerie silence. Not to mention rank 7 or rank 8 forces. Even the rank 9 forces' upper echelons looked as if they had seen a ghost. When they looked up at the sky, their teeth were chattering. 4 blood-red beams. This meant that 4 sage kings had died. They really wanted to know 4 sage kings had died on the same day. 4 sage kings were killed consecutively. What the f***ck? Which deity had such strength? Chapter 16:21. Saint Monarch Domain, Divine Flame Palace's territory. After Lin Chun personally killed the Saint Kings, coupled with the aftermath of the battle, many experts were killed. The remaining remnants of the Wu clan and Holy Purgatory were simply unable to withstand a single blow. In less than a day, the enemy's remnants were completely wiped out by Lin Chen's team. Only attribute light balls were left. Lin Chen's Saint Points were depleted. His main body Saint Point and Greater One Saint Point had less than 1/10 of their Saint Force left. And in this great battle, none of Lin Chen's servants had fallen. Only 4 people from the Grade 8 forces and hidden experts who came to help died. The rest were either severely injured or half-crippled. This battle record was already heaven-defying. To be able to win with such a small price in such a large-scale battle was unprecedented in the history of the Sacred Boundary. Under the protection of the Lawkeeper Hall, Bai Ruoyan and the others all returned. At this time, they stood beside Lin Chen's team. On the opposite side were the Divine Flame Palace's Supreme Elders and the Head Supreme Elder. Lin Chen's Saint Dragon was rapidly collecting the attribute light balls after the battle. His clone was in charge of refining and absorbing the attribute value. Only the attribute light balls dropped by Lin Chen before he activated the God Slayer talent had growth attribute. The God Slayer talent had a flaw. After it was activated, the number of attribute light balls dropped by enemies would decrease. Furthermore, it would not drop growth attribute light balls. For example, Saint Essence, Qi and Blood, top-grade elemental energy, etc. These were all growth attributes that would only drop before the talent was activated. However, the attribute light balls that Lin Chen obtained were still far more than any of the previous ones. Lin Chen smiled casually. Chief Grand Elder, what I said just now still counts. I don't want to continue hammering a senior like you in front of Sister Ruoyan. The Chief Grand Elder's eyebrows twitched slightly. This kid really deserved a beating. The most infuriating thing was that she could not do anything to him. With her experience, she could roughly see that Lin Chen would not be able to display such heaven-defying strength in a short period of time. At the very least, killing a Saint King with a single punch was impossible. But his team still had enough deterrence. There was a Sword Dao and Saber Dao Saint King on each side, as well as a Pain Calamity who could control his own power. Just these 3 alone were enough to cause trouble for the current Godflame Palace. After all, he couldn't call back those elusive old men from the Divine Flame Palace. No one could make those old men move. If the Lawkeeper Hall and Shangguanju were willing to help, it would be fine. The problem was that the Lawkeeper Hall was also on their side. The Chief Elder sighed and said, I'll keep my word. Here you go. She waved her hand, and a beam of fiery light that was coiled with divine radiance shot over. Bai Ruoyan stretched out her hand to catch it. It was a scepter that was 4 feet long. It was red and suffused with gold. A swaying scarlet divine flame burned on the body of the scepter, and it possessed an indescribable pressure. This is my godly flame Saint's scepter. Normally, the scepter wouldn't be given to the palace lord directly. The one with the scepter has the highest authority in the godly flame palace. But to ignore the decision of the Elder Council. Haha, there's no Elder Council in the godly flame palace now. Take it. The Chief Elder sighed deeply. Bai Ruoyan wanted to say something, but she raised her hand and said, Little Ruoyan, I can see that you care about the godly flame palace, and you have enough talent. If it weren't for Wu Pianja's conditions, you would definitely be the next palace lord of the godly flame palace. But that's all for later. Since you can't join the Saint Talent list, I just hope that the godly flame palace can survive the next disaster. Bai Ruoyan nodded seriously. Ruoyan will do her best. Just as the chief elder finished speaking, the law-keeper Lan Jingyu stood out and slightly cupped his fist to the chief elder and the other grand elders. Elder, you've taken care of me for many years. I'll never forget your kindness. I've already repaid the previous palace lord's kindness. I've guarded the godly flame palace for many years without any objections. This time, I'm afraid I can't comply. The chief elder's palm trembled, and his breathing trembled slightly. He said solemnly, Jingyu, you. Lan Jingyu nodded. Yes, I want to resign from the position of law-keeper. All the grand elders' faces changed greatly. A saint king was the backbone of a rank 9 sect. No power in the holy world could afford to lose a holy king so easily. Alas! Alas! Forget it, forget it! The chief elder seemed to have aged a lot. Her beautiful face and hair were slightly pale. After a few sighs, she waved her hand. Before that old guy left, he told me not to restrain you. If you really want to leave, I won't force you. She was very clear about the arrogance of a saint king. If he wanted to leave, no one could stop him. Lan Jingyu didn't say anything. He just nodded slightly. When he turned to look at Lin Chen and the others, his eyes were complicated. He stepped into the void and disappeared. Lin Chen shrugged his shoulders. I say, why are all of you looking so sad? Isn't it just a law-keeper? At most, I'll force myself to be the law-keeper. With my handsomeness and strength, it's natural for me to be a law-keeper, isn't it? Everyone. Shangguanju rolled her eyes and said jokingly, Kid, are your hair all grown out? You still want to be a law-keeper? I can't pretend that I didn't hear that. Lin Chen, Are you teaching me how to do things? Shangguanju, yes, I did. So what? Not only will I teach you, but I'll also do it. When the two were bickering, Jiang Taishu walked forward slowly and said with a faint smile, Everyone, don't worry. With the Lord's character and Miss Ruoyan's friendship, as long as the Divine Flame Palace is loyal, our team will also be a part of the Divine Flame Palace in the future. Moreover, Jiang Taishu smiled mysteriously. Moreover, we have an alchemist on our side who is about to become a 9th-grade saint-grade alchemist. It is not impossible for him to restore the glory of the past for all the elders. However, this depends on your performance. These are the Lord's words. As soon as he said that, all the grand elders were ecstatic. Creation Pill Saint, you reborn. If he helped, it was completely possible to heal their old injuries. However, all the elders had mixed feelings. Previously, both sides were enemies, but now, they had become friends. Jiang Taishu and you reborn smiled knowingly. This was the result they wanted. Using both soft and hard methods, instead of just forcing the other side to ally with them. Forcing a rank 9 sect would eventually cause trouble. If both sides couldn't stand on the same line of interests, it was hard to say when something would happen. The 3 rank 9 sect representatives who had witnessed this scene from the beginning to the end, as well as those reclusive old monsters who wanted to join the Saint Talent list, could only retreat with their tails between their legs. Since the Divine Flame Palace had joined forces with Lin Chen and the others, it was meaningless for them to stay here. Alas, Lin Chen, the Wuji old man sent a message to Lin Chen. Lin Chen turned around and cupped his fists in the air. Senior, what can I do for you? The Wuji old man looked at him solemnly. What happened today means that you will alarm all the rank 9 sects in the sacred boundary. Some forces will take action even more fiercely, and you will become the target of public criticism. Chapter 1622. Everyone's target? Lin Chen smiled. Senior, are you talking about the Talent Saint ranking? The old man said, Yes, and not only that. Lin Chen's laughter conveyed his confidence. It's fine if they don't provoke me, but if they dare to, I'll defeat them all. However, the Wuji elder said, the change in the Saint Talent list is only a fuse. Next, there will be a greater calamity, and the various clans will not be able to avoid it. Even with the combat power you showed just now, you will not be able to play a big role in this calamity. I'm afraid you'll be exhausted before the calamity arrives. Take care of yourself. I've never changed anything. I'm just a bystander. Lin Chen narrowed his eyes. Was there going to be a great calamity at the sacred boundary? Lin Chen hugged him. Thank you for your guidance, Senior. I've always been indifferent to life and death. I'll fight if I don't accept it. What will come, and what will fight. There's nothing to be afraid of. The old man nodded and looked deeply at Jiang Taishu. The latter bowed slightly in respect and humility. Next, the everlasting old man brought the two little girls with him and stepped into the air, disappearing without a trace. Whoosh! A dark shadow appeared in the sky and twisted the void. It was Little Dark Shadow and the elders of the Dark Shadow race. Little Dark Shadow said, "Big brother, we're leaving too?" Lin Chen nodded and smiled. "You must have a lot of things to do in the Dark Shadow race. Don't worry, go back and do it well." Then, Lin Chen turned around and cupped his hands respectfully to the elders of the Dark Shadow race behind Lin Chen. "I, Lin Chen, will never forget your help today. If the Dark Shadow race has any trouble in the future, please don't hesitate to call me." Lin Chen knew that without the Dark Shadow race's help, Lin Chen would have to use the War God 4-piece set and the Ultimate Heaven-Defying in advance to deal with the Een Son of Heaven, Clear Sky Holy King, and the others. The effect wouldn't be as perfect as it was now. Moreover, the Dark Shadow clan had contributed greatly in stopping the Holy Prison, Wu family, and other experts from escaping. Without these 2 points, the outcome of this battle would still be uncertain. The 9th elder, who was in the lead, laughed loudly and said, "Ha ha ha, with your words, we didn't fight this battle in vain. The Dark Shadow race will need your help in the future." At the side, Little Dark Shadow nodded. "Big brother, although I still want to stay by your side and fight by your side, the Dark Shadow race hasn't unified yet." Lin Chen's expression suddenly turned serious. He looked at Little Shadow. "You didn't suffer any side effects from absorbing that guy, did you?" Little Shadow shook his head. "No, not only that, even my consumption of pills is too great, and I have to take a large amount of pills to overcome the drawback. My dependence on pills is very small now." "That's good, however." Lin Chen wasn't completely reassured. "Take my spiritual jade slip. If anything happens, crush it. As long as I'm not facing a life and death situation, I'll be able to use it on you at any time." Lin Chen handed a spiritual jade slip to Little Shadow. What was Lin Chen worried about? No, he was on guard. He was on guard against a long-dead Tuo Xing. Lin Chen might be the only person in the world who had read Tuo Xing's autobiography. Tuo Xing wasn't an idle person. On the contrary, he was a very ambitious person. He had the ambition to rule the sacred boundary and a terrifying amount of patience. This kind of person who defied the heavens and changed his fate was just like the Clear Sky Saint King. He would do anything to achieve his goal. When Lin Chen learned that Tuo Xing had carved a killing move in Little Shadow that specifically countered the ultimate Dark Shadow, he felt that something was amiss. If Tuo Xing left something behind in Little Shadow before his death, the consequences would be unimaginable. Amen. Goodbye, big brother. When I become the innate Dark Shadow King, I'll help you fight the enemy." Little Shadow accepted Lin Chen's spiritual jade slip, nodded with a smile and said goodbye to the crowd. No one, not even the Dark Shadow race's elders, noticed that when Little Shadow left, his beautiful dragon eyes flashed with a strange bloody light. Lin Chen then looked at the Divine Flame Palace's camp. His gaze landed on the Divine Flame Palace's palace master, or rather, the previous palace master. The current palace master was Bai Ruoyan. The previous palace master, Shangguan Yanran, because of the heavy burden of cultivating her cultivation method, her appearance and body shape had always been that of a young girl. When she stood next to Bai Ruoyan, they looked like sisters. The same was true for the head Grand Supreme Elder. Lin Chen said, "Senior Palace Master, Regarding the reconstruction of Divine Flame Palace, I plan to move Divine Flame Palace to Miracle Realm. Shangguan Yanran smiled. Now your Ruoyan is the one in charge of Divine Flame Palace. You can do whatever you want. Do whatever they want. Lin Chen smiled evilly and gave her a thumbs up. Straightforward, I like talking to people like the Palace Master. Then it's decided that we will remove all the branch palaces in Saint Monarch Domain. Divine Flame Palace will continue the tradition of not accepting male disciples. Divine Flame Palace will clean up Wu Pianja's remnants and leave all the changes to Sister Ruoyan. Any objections? Lin Chen looked at the thousands of core true disciples of Divine Flame Palace. They nodded in unison and did not have any objections. Then, Lin Chen looked at the servants of his family. Now, it had become a large army. He would be able to do whatever he wanted no matter where he went in the holy world. I, Lin Chen, am grateful for your support. It is your choice whether you want to follow us or not. I, Lin Chen, will do my best to heal everyone's injuries and cultivation. I will treat those that can be healed and those that can be broken through. Hearing this, the reinforcements from the Rank 8 forces and hidden experts were overjoyed. Yu Wangxing smiled helplessly. He was going to be busy. Well, he had to ask his old friends to help him refine pills again. Lin Chen looked at the 4 brothers of Realm C. Also, 4 friends who died in this battle. If they have any family members, you must take good care of them. Yes, we will do our best to search for them. At this time, Yu Wangxing said, My lord, Fei Wuxuang's injuries have been stabilized, thanks to Miss Scarlet. After hearing Jiang Taishu's words, Lin Chen looked at Scarlet Fairy in surprise. She smiled sweetly and said, You owe me a big favor. It seems that Scarlet Fairy has many secrets, but now is not the time to explore. Since she saved Wuxuang at the risk of being exposed, it proves that she trusts me enough. There will be plenty of opportunities to make her speak in the future. Lin Chen put away his thoughts and looked around. At this time, the chief elder of Divine Flame Palace waved his sleeve, and the giant door appeared again. All the supreme elders returned to the unique seclusion plane of Divine Flame Palace. As long as Bai Ruoyan had the Divine Flame Sacred Staff, she could open the giant door at any time and let the supreme elders out again. Jiang Taishu cupped his fists respectfully. My lord, then we should retreat next. There are changes in the Sage Monarch domain. This old man has sensed that many experts have come out, and there is no lack of Sage Monarch giants among them. Lin Chen suddenly smiled. Retreat? Retreat my ass. Lin Chen laughed crazily, overflowing with arrogance. Next, we will go to the Sage Prison. Since we are going to do it, let's do it to the end. In this battle, you did not have any Sage artifacts, so you fought very sullenly. Since that is the case, this handsome guy will go all the way. Let's go to the Sage Prison. We will take back all the Sage artifacts that the Sage Prison detained you before. The corners of the mouths of everyone from Divine Flame Palace twitched. Even the servants were dumbfounded. Oh my God, this lord did not play by the rules even once. Not only did he not retreat, but he also turned around and attacked the Sage Prison? Too strong. Lin Pingan's eyes lit up. Was there another fight? Chapter 1623. But, I'm not a demon. Lin Chen smiled innocently. Those who are injured, return to the mystic realm first. Those who have used more than 50% of their saint power leave first. We'll meet at the original location and observe the situation for now. Then, Lin Chen looked at Long Jiushan, Ji Wuchen, Fong Ling, and the other servants on the 19th floor. This time, we're an elite team. Great Void is in charge of the entire team's evacuation, and Wang Xing is in charge of the rear. The 2 of you don't have to come. The rest of you, Peak Stage 9 Transformation Stage Cultivators, go back and wait. In name, we're taking back the Saint Weapon, but in reality, we're going to rob the F** King Holy Prison. I heard that the treasures of Holy Prison are on the first floor, so we'll go there this time. Lin Chen smiled mockingly. I don't know anything, but I know how to King rob. Rob Holy Prison? The true disciples and guardians of Divine Flame Palace were all stunned. Even Shangguanju's red lips were slightly agape, revealing a fiery and charming look in her shock. This handsome guy was not right. In such a situation, shouldn't he retreat, count the spoils, hide for 100 or 80 years to cultivate, and then form a powerful force to save the world? Can you be normal for once, Brother Chen? Shangguanju could not help but say, Are you crazy? Do you know how many layers of defense there are on the first floor of Holy Prison? And the Holy Prison Saint Kings are not just the two you killed. Once the remaining Saint Kings return, even with your current team, it won't be easy to deal with them. Holy Prison once belonged to the gods, and the first floor of Holy Prison even had the gods' trump cards. Although she did not know how Lin Chen sneaked into Holy Prison, she was sure that Lin Chen did not pass through the first floor. It was impossible to break through the first floor without the cultivation of a true god. Even if Lin Chen killed a Saint King with one punch, he would not be able to defeat the means of a true god. They were on a completely different level. Bai Ruoyan said helplessly, Master, let him be. Don't you know his character? Lin Chen smiled. I said I'm going to rob his holy prison, so I must. Shangguanju facepalmed. This time, the Divine Flame Palace was moving to the mystic domain, so they needed a lot of help. As the only venerable protector, she couldn't leave. Otherwise, she would also like to see how confident Lin Chen was in robbing the holy prison. The entire Divine Flame Palace began to migrate. They were mainly responsible for moving the cultivation mystic realms of the Divine Flame Palace away. The precious resources of a rank 9 sect were all placed in a unique spatial plane. As long as the spatial plane was not destroyed, it was not a big problem. It would only take a few months to rebuild the Divine Flame Palace. Although this unprecedented battle had caused Lin Chen's team to accumulate a certain amount of injuries, it had also benefited them immensely. Especially the group of rank 8 peak stage and rank 9 sages, their battle intent erupted, all their accumulated strength erupted. They could faintly sense that their cultivation levels might increase after another round of closed cultivation. Yi Qingwu said in a bored tone, I don't have a share this time. This guy's progress is too fast. He's really a monster. I can't even go and watch the show. At this time, the Yi family's Yi Lishui walked in front of Lin Chen. Yi Lishui said, Lin Chen, can I ask you for a favor? Lin Chen was curious. Andy, feel free to speak. Yi Lishui's beautiful lips parted slightly as she sent a secret sound transmission to Lin Chen. At the end, she even grabbed Lin Chen's arm and cried. It was beautiful and tragic. The little demon empress was stunned. Was Mother going to tell him about that matter? Please, help the Yi family, and also help Qingwu this time. This is my lifetime request, please help me end this nightmare. The beautiful woman's sobs caused Lin Chen to take a deep breath. A Blade Region Saint Genius who can control fate. His gaze looked at the little demon empress. The latter's heartstrings throbbed, and she actually avoided Lin Chen's gaze, not daring to meet Lin Chen's gaze as if she felt guilty. Little Demoness actually hid such an important matter from me. It seems like she doesn't want to drag me down with her. Forget it. Lin Chen suddenly smiled and said, Even if he's in the top 10 of the Saint Talent ranking, I'll still beat him. Auntie can rest assured about my relationship with Qingwu. I'll help you with this. Yi Lishui's cold and indifferent eyes appeared for the first time. It was like the first ray of dawn that melted the coldness of a glacier. Mother, why did you tell him? Didn't I say that I don't blame you for what you did for me? The little demon empress floated over with a slightly angry expression. Lin Chen suddenly smiled and said, You actually didn't tell me such an important matter. Little Demoness, it seems like you don't treat me as a friend. I didn't want to cause trouble for you. Furthermore, You wanted to attack Divine Flame Palace before. Am I the kind of person to cause trouble for you? Yi Qingwu rolled her eyes at Lin Chen. Lin Chen turned around and waved his hand. Spend more time with Auntie during this period of time. Looking at Lin Chen's departing figure, the little demon empress sighed slightly. In the end, he was still involved when the large group began to leave. The people selected by Lin Chen stayed behind. This time, Lin Chen selected all the servants on the 19th floor. Other than the injured Fei Wushuang and Jiang Taishu and Yu Wangxing, who were responsible for the safety of Divine Flame Palace, everyone else was mobilized. As well as the 7-peak 9th Transformation Realm cultivators on the 18th floor. This group was made up of all of Lin Chen's top fighting forces. There was Lin Chen's outer sect disciple, Lin Ping'an, and himself. This lineup was not weak in any of the regions of the sacred boundary. Although the Saint Monarch region is not too far from the sacred prison, this time we will enter through the secret space passage of the Green region. Focus our main forces on the sacred prison and don't waste them on useless battles. Lin Chen reminded everyone, in this operation, the three of you who are in the Saint King realm must preserve your strength as much as possible to avoid any sneak attacks from the sacred prison. If anything happens, Qi Fian, Shangguan Wudi, and I will take the lead. Lin Ping pouted her little mouth. Why should you take the lead and I have to wait behind? Lin Chen said in all seriousness, because of you, Zhu can fight, and you are also the strongest. Not every painful disaster is called Juning. The strongest should appear at the most dazzling time. What do you think, my Ping'an? Lin Ping'an. At least you know. All the servants, this lord is really good at coaxing little girls. No wonder he is called the arsonist of young girls. After the decision was made, everyone set off. Lin Chen did not have time to count the rewards of this battle. He could only count them on the way. It was urgent. Let's get rid of the sacred prison first. If everyone could retrieve the famous saint artifact, their strength would increase by at least 20 to 30%. Especially the two saint kings, Fang Ling and Lang Fanyun, they would be like tigers that had grown wings. Water Dragon Taoist Palace. Swift Array. Point Star Shift. Leap. A water dragon roared angrily. It covered the sky and carried everyone as it roamed through the void. Then, a series of starlight paths extended from the endless void, leading to another world outside the space passage. It was Zi Qianqiu and Xiao Ling who were going all out to escort Lin Chen and the others to the Green region. The next day, rumble! The Saint Aura was as vast as the sea. In the sky above the former territory of the Divine Flame Palace, a few figures were circling. They were actually experts from the Wu clan. The old man in the lead was very wise, as if he had seen through the mortal world. He was a Saint King expert. Moreover, he was a Saint King who was comparable to the chief elder of the Divine Flame Palace. A real old monster. Chapter 1624. Patriarch, it can't be wrong. Neveryang's sovereign had fallen here. She died in the hands of that guy called Lin Chen. According to the rumors from the other rank 9 sects, his team already has 2 Sage Kings, and another Pain Calamity that is not inferior to a Sage King. If they fight again, even if we go all out, we will still have to pay a heavy price. The 3 Wu family elders said worriedly. This full-scale battle had already announced the strength of Lin Chen's team. Even if the entire sacred boundary did not know about it, at least the rank 8 and rank 9 sects would not fall behind. The leading Wu family elder was dressed in linen clothes. He was calm and collected, as if he had a pearl of wisdom in his hand. His sacred eyes were filled with a sharp light and determination. He was actually another Sage King from the Wu family. He had received news a few days ago that he was in seclusion. He immediately rushed over after leaving seclusion, but he was still a step too late. Wu family's patriarch smiled coldly. Haha, this kid will definitely have to pay a price. Since he has challenged the Divine Flame Palace, and the Divine Flame Palace has surrendered to him, then we will go find another ally. The elders were stunned. Ally? Didn't he defeat the sacred prison? Those guys who followed the gods to spy on the outer galaxies of the Divine Emperor's remains should have returned by now. They will definitely not let Lin Chen go. Let's join forces with the sacred prison to deal with Lin Chen. Let's go. The Wu family's patriarch's words made the three elders worried. Just based on the pain calamity of Lin Chen's team, it was already extremely difficult to challenge them. Even if they could really kill them, they would have to pay a fatal price. The pain calamity's spirit body that could freely control its own strength was that terrifying Wu family's patriarch seemed to have seen through the elder's thoughts. He said indifferently, although the pain calamity is terrifying, it does not mean that she is stronger than our great martial god. The three elders were shocked. Patriarch, are you saying that you want to use the god's blood? Isn't this too emotional? This is only when our family has no other choice. Wu family's patriarch said indifferently, then tell me, what do you mean when we have no other choice? Wait until the enemy arrives at our doorstep. Wait until the enemy has wiped out all our people? The three elders were silent. The martial god's son has been killed, and Elder Wu Weiyang is dead. Not even a shred of her spiritual power managed to escape. You even made my martial god family lose more than half of our elite. If we don't take revenge for this, others will really think that our martial god family is made of clay. Wu clan's ancestor flicked his sleeves. Let's go to the Saint Prison. Let's discuss the matter of attacking Lin Chen together. One of the trump cards of the martial god clan, the trump card left behind by the martial god, was in the hands of this old ancestor. 7 days later, the sects above the 7th rank in the sacred boundary were the first to experience an unprecedented earthquake. The first was the Founding Era Alliance proposed by the 100 Saints. Anyone who joined the Founding Era Alliance and pledged their lives to the Alliance could cultivate orange-grade cultivation techniques and enjoy the supply of divine pills. However, the prerequisite was that they had to have the bloodline of a sage and pass the assessment. The appearance of the Founding Era Alliance shocked the entire upper echelons of the sacred boundary. This alliance was overseen by 100 saint geniuses and more than 10 rank 9 sects. They had already announced that they had joined the Founding Era Alliance as an external support force. An alliance formed by more than 10 ninth-grade sects? This was simply unimaginable. It could be said to be the most invincible force in the history of the sacred boundary. The second was the big event in the Sage Monarch domain that had shaken both ancient and modern times. It was known by the world as the Battle of the Fall. Since ancient times, this was the first time that someone had dared to challenge a rank 9 sect, and he had succeeded in doing so. Not only that, but the scope of this battle also included the Saint Prison and the martial god clan. The current son of the era in the sacred boundary had been born. He had rushed to the peak of the modern world's history as soon as he appeared. It turned out that the phenomenon of the fall of a sage monarch was actually real. 4 sage monarch realm experts had really fallen, and they had all died in the hands of one person. With his own force, he had challenged 3 giant forces and still achieved complete victory. He had killed 4 sage monarchs and even killed the Een son of heaven, who was comparable to a sage monarch. This person wasn't a saint genius, but he had surpassed the saint genius list. He was the current number 1 on the demon genius list, Lin Chen, who had descended to the mortal world with the title of celestial god. These 2 pieces of news were like shocking bombs that blew up 90% of the reclusive old monsters and legendary giants out of the sacred boundary. All the experts felt a suffocating feeling, as if a storm was about to come, and dark clouds were pressing down on the city, threatening to destroy it. The sacred boundary was about to change. Those who had received the latest news were all rank 5 sects and above. It would still take some time for the lower-level forces to receive the news. Various realms in Xuanyu. The Genesis era has appeared, and the Saint Genius list is about to take over the sacred boundary. Could it be that these 100 sage monarchs represent the will of the Saint Genius list? What are the other sage monarchs doing? Why aren't they stopping them? There is no absolute justice in this world. Even if the other sage monarchs don't join, they have no interest in provoking them. To the Saint Genius list, weak people like us, who haven't even reached the sage monarch realm, are just small fish and shrimps under the huge wave. We aren't worth mentioning. No one will fight for us. Various sects in the ice region. What is going on? Don't the gods care? In our ice region alone, more than 1,200 rank 3 sects have been destroyed recently. Anyone who doesn't listen to orders is killed. The Genesis Alliance is too terrifying. Why don't we join the Genesis Alliance? There are pills to eat and techniques to obtain. We can cultivate even while lying down. Isn't it good? So Your Excellency's dream is to be a dog. You'll be satisfied if you can wag your tail and eat **T. I'm sorry for treating you like a human. Keep cursing. Hey. They said that they only want the first generation of sage monarchs to join. Then what should those of us who don't have sage monarchs do? Thousands of sects in the flame region. No. The human race shouldn't be like this. Everyone should cultivate the same techniques and walk the same path like puppet. Should they be satisfied? No, we humans shouldn't live like this. Walking on the path of the great Tao, 100 flowers bloom together, seeking common ground while reserving differences. I have a pure heart, but the world forced me to become a demon. Forget it. Let's join the resistance. Resist the Genesis Alliance. We won't be their lackeys. Many rank 7 sects and rank 8 sects in the heavenly sanctuary. They want to monopolize the fate and lifeline of the sacred boundary. They want to be the master of the sacred boundary. Who can go against the Genesis Alliance? Perhaps it's only him, Lin Chen. Can he? No, maybe he can't. The sage monarchs are working together. Lin Chen won't be able to defeat them. Let's flee. There is no future for the sacred boundary like this. What about the rank 9 sects? Why aren't the other rank 9 sects stopping them? Aren't they the founding powers of the sacred boundary? Where are the rank 9 giants who have been praising their virtues in the past? It is better to rely on oneself than on others. Let's take action ourselves. Different voices erupted in the various regions of the sacred boundary. They had officially ushered in an unprecedented period of chaos. Chapter 1625. Countless voices were heard in the various regions of the sacred boundary. Some resisted, some remained silent, and some left in the opposite direction. After the Founding Era Alliance appeared, the situation became more and more intense. Finally, a chaotic war broke out in the 36 regions. Those who surrendered to the Founding Era Alliance and the Resistance Alliance started a chaotic war in various regions. The Founding Era Alliance acted quickly. They were organized on a large scale and had the same goal. They chose to seize control of the top forces in various regions almost immediately. They either roped in the Grade 8 and Grade 7 forces in various regions or killed those who disobeyed. This formed a spider web. Every time the Founding Era Alliance went to a region, they would instigate a large number of forces to become their pawns. However, there was a region that the Founding Era Alliance could not infiltrate. That was the Mystic region. In a secret chamber on the first floor of the sacred prison. We just returned. How are you doing your job? In the void, endless sacred aura came down furiously. The sacred prison's powerhouses felt a sudden increase in pressure. In reply to the two lords, we were unable to stop the two Lord Saint Kings. They were determined to suppress Lin Chen and the others. They said that every minute and second must be seized, and that they should not be given any time to breathe. We couldn't stop the two sacred kings. The prison guards stationed on the first floor were trembling, their faces sullen. They were indeed wronged. If the two sacred kings wanted to do something, how could they stop them? Moreover, with the combat power and lineup that they had brought out of the sacred prison, they could have taken down those criminals who had escaped. They had never expected that they had recovered to their peak state and even had two sacred kings. Even if they could not take down Lin Chen and the others, with the Sky Feather Sacred King and the Rakshasa Sacred King, it would be easy for them to lead everyone away. Who knew that the Dark Shadow Tribe would come to their rescue? Furthermore, the one who surprised everyone the most was Lin Chen. He was an unexpected variable in the sacred prison. He had killed the sacred kings. Haha, it has already happened. You don't have to be so angry. No one can predict the outcome. We can't make a choice after seeing the outcome. Even the two of them died there. The opponent has a trump card that can kill Saint Kings. I heard that it's Lin Chen. Looks like we have to wait for Big Brother and the others to return. This kid is too dangerous. He must be eliminated. A cold and harsh voice echoed in the endless space of the Saint Prison. The Holy Prison began to gather its power. Founding Era Alliance Headquarters. Sage Monarch Domain, Northernmost Region, Skirich Palace. Outside the hall, there were over 1,000 heaven-opening powerhouses standing guard. It was an unprecedented defensive force. Hundreds of strong cultivators gathered in the center of the skyscraping palace. There were 8 half-step Saint Kings and an unknown number of Saint Kings. All of the holy geniuses were reading the information brought back by the 9 holy geniuses who had participated in the god ordainment ceremony. Their faces were filled with astonishment. He single-handedly challenged Qian Yingxue, Fang Xietian, and the others, kidnapped the sons of Eras from the 19th level of the Holy Penitentiary, and even defeated the Holy Kings of the Holy Penitentiary? So the phenomenon of a sage falling was real, and the one who died was Wu Pianju. Wu Pianju is one of the core members of our revolution this time. This guy is simply looking down on our Saint Talent ranking. Wait. According to the report, he killed 4 Saint Kings with 1 punch each? Are you King kidding me? All of the holy geniuses in the skyscraping palace were dumbfounded. It was extremely interesting. No one had expected that such a dark horse would appear out of nowhere when they were about to start a revolution. At this moment, a beautiful figure stood up. It was Qian Yingxue, who had just recovered from her injuries. She carried a battle spear on her back, looking valiant and awe-inspiring as she spoke slowly. I, Qian Yingxue, announce my withdrawal from the alliance. The Emperor of the Great Sun, Yun Patian, who had always been arrogant and unruly, also stood up and said seriously, I also withdraw. The beautiful Nangong Yu also declared, I, Nangong Yu, withdraw. Zhu Tianyan stood up and waved his hand. I also quit. Damn it, I don't want to meet this kid again. The 9 holy geniuses who had fought with Lin Chen that day all chose to withdraw after submitting the information. Many holy geniuses immediately looked at the 9 people who left with disdain or sneers. The 9 holy geniuses didn't care at all and turned to leave. These guys were already used to thinking that they were extraordinary. Nangong Yu sighed in her heart. These guys didn't feel the pressure from Lin Chen at all. This is a monster in the guise of a youth. His whole body is full of secrets. If they really fought, he could exchange lives with the holy geniuses at any time. Only those who had truly fought with Lin Chen knew how terrifying this guy was. One would rather provoke the King of Hell than provoke Lin Chen. After the 9 people left, he is indeed a troublesome guy. Behind the screen in the skyscraping palace, the illusory figure held the jade scroll and continued speaking after closing it. This Lin Chen is indeed a genius. And from the information they brought back, he isn't the type to cooperate with us. He is a tough nut to crack. Indeed, from the strange phenomenon that day, it is possible that he used some trump card to kill the 4 kings consecutively. It is impossible to use such a powerful killing move a second time in a short period of time, or even in this lifetime. Otherwise, the sacred boundary would be Lin Chen's. The figure behind the screen laughed heartily. Ha ha ha, interesting. We met such an interesting character at the beginning. The Founding Century Alliance needs to display enough strength to deter all parties. It just so happens that this whetstone has delivered itself to our door. It is both a crisis and an opportunity. A beautiful saintess smiled gracefully. Young master, you mean to kill the chicken to warn the monkey? The man behind the screen laughed coldly. That's right. We still need to establish our might, so we will start with them first. Give the order to search for information related to Lin Chen. Uproot everyone related to him. Founding Century Alliance, suppress Lin Chen first. Show our strength to the sacred boundary first. Achoo! Lin Chen sneezed and touched the tip of his nose. Why do I feel like someone is saying that I am handsome behind my back? Could it be that the director finally thinks that I am more handsome than him and is unwilling to accept it? After the Great Sage King battle, the remaining remnants of the Wu family and Holy Prison had been killed by Lin Chen. Many of them had been killed by Lin Chen and gained a lot of attribute points, allowing Lin Chen's sacred dragon to reach the 70,000 venerable power mark. The dragon veins in his body had also transformed into a new form. Every dragon vein was glowing with a reddish-gold dragon breath. At this time, everyone was sitting cross-legged on the back of the formation water dragon, regulating their breathing peacefully. The distance between the Sage Monarch domain and the Green Territory was very far. Even someone as powerful as Xiaoling needed some time to arrive. During this time, Lin Chen and the servants were taking advantage of the time to recuperate, taking sacred elixirs or refining a huge amount of golden saint origin coins to recover their sacred power. Lin Chen's sacred acupoint was recovering rapidly. His 7 clones were refining the golden saint origin coins for him in the destiny plant pouch. The efficiency was extremely high. Lin Chen was counting the spoils of war this time, but the sacred acupoint was whistling and erupting with sacred light. Lin Chen was shocked. Oh no, the accumulation is reaching the limit again. The sacred acupoint is about to explode. Chapter 1626. After the previous great battle, even though the God Slayer status would not drop any growth-type attribute light orbs, the number of light orbs that were dropped before the status was activated was not small. Lin Chen's 46 holy light orbs were about to explode. It wasn't the time to explode his acupuncture points. Tai Futian Seal. Lin Chen formed a seal and activated his Heart Sutra to seal his Saint Acupoint. His Saint force dissipated completely. It was time to seal them. I can only seal them first. It's not a good state to explode them now. With a thought, Lin Chen opened the system. Heavenly Tao Attribute Pickup System version 8.0 Host. Lin Chen. Cultivation. Mid-5th Heaven True Saint. Saint Grade Essence. 66, 5 million points. Limit. 48,000 Supreme Force, plus 300% Awakened Flesh Shell. Saint Grade Blood Essence. 584 million points. Saint Grade Spiritual Power. 990,000 points. Spiritualized Primordial Spirit. Half-Step Primordial Spirit Realm Peak. Saint Grade Cultivation Technique Essence. 690,000 points. Saint Grade Rune Energy. 680,000 points. Top Grade Heavenly Tao Points. 910,000 points. Top Grade Talent Points. 760,000 points. Set Essence. 2,870 billion points. Mid-Grade Strengthening Points. 2 billion points. Saint Grade Elemental Energy. 11,800 points for Fire. 11,790 points for Earth. 11,880 points for Wood. 11,777 points for Metal. 1198 points for Water. 11,690 points for lightning, 11,780 points for wind, 11,770 points for light, 11,750 points for darkness. Set column, Golden Battle God set, incomplete, talent column, bloodline status column, cultivation technique status column, life awakening column, killing technique column, Godhead column, divine elephant Godhead fragment, activate by consuming heavenly Tao points and host's blood essence, F***CK. Did I poke a nest of attributes? Lin Chen sucked in a breath of cold air. Leap. A true leap. After this battle, Lin Chen's non-growth attribute points had increased by tens of thousands of times. What kind of concept was tens of thousands of times? Just the mid-grade strengthening points alone were 2 billion points. His elemental attribute points had increased by tens of thousands of times after killing the Yin Son of Heaven. Lin Chen. In the past, I was a yes man in the face of strengthening. Now I'm attacking. In the past, he had spent hundreds of thousands of intermediate strengthening points to strengthen his divine dragon bloodline, causing Lin Chen to stop in his track. However, now that he had 2 billion points, he could try to reach a higher strengthening level. Lin Chen, who previously only had a few hundred saint-grade cultivation technique soul essences, now had 690,000. His top-tier Heaven's Path points had reached a terrifying 910,000 points. It had increased by several 100,000 times. Growth-type attributes were also several hundred times more. However, the system did not only display the attribute points, but also the attribute treasure chests that Lin Chen had obtained recently. The host has received the Aries attribute treasure chest. Upon opening it, the host will receive the 6th piece of the Aries set, Ultimate Helmet Blueprint Final Piece. The host has obtained a Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Open to obtain Orange Intermediate Active Talent, Shadow Shift. The host can use talent points to exchange positions with a designated target. There is a cooldown period. The cooldown period depends on the opponent's cultivation. Host, you have received a Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Open it and you will receive 1 Orange Talent Upgrade Tool. Within the host's designated talent, it can be forcefully upgraded to an orange grade talent. The talent's ability will be transformed, and the effects of the talent will be greatly enhanced. The host has obtained a Talent Attribute Treasure Chest. Open it and you will receive Orange Intermediate Permanent Talent God Slayer. Permanent God Slayer. Each activation will use up a large amount of talent points. There is a cooldown period. The cooldown period depends on the strength of the enhancement. The stronger the enhancement, the longer the cooldown period. The host has obtained a Cultivation Technique Attribute Treasure Chest. Open it and you will receive Orange Top-Tier Cultivation Technique Fragment, 1/3. The host has obtained a Cultivation Technique Attribute Treasure Chest. Open it and you will receive Orange Top-Tier Cultivation Technique Fragment, 2/3. After collecting all the fragments, you will receive a random Orange Top-Tier Cultivation Technique. The host has obtained a Saint-Grade Attribute Treasure Chest. Open it and you will receive 100 Fire Energy Points. A series of system screens popped up. Lin Chen was completely stunned. A Sage Ruler is indeed a Sage Ruler. Too awesome. Even the Permanent God Slayer talent is here. Moreover, orange top-tier cultivation techniques were almost extinct in the sacred boundary. Only a few rank 9 forces had them. Now, Lin Chen only needed to collect 1 more fragment to obtain a orange top-tier cultivation technique. Even the final design of the God of War set was out. Lin Chen could not help but look up at the sky and sigh. Killing a Sage Ruler is so King satisfying. Hearing that, the servants beside him looked at Lin Chen as if they were looking at a monster. Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun felt an inexplicable chill. Killing a Sage Ruler is satisfying? Perhaps only he, Lin Chen, could say something like that, since ancient times, which sage ruler was not an existence that could hold up the heavens and the earth. A sage ruler was almost eternal and indestructible. The lifespan of a sage ruler could be as long as hundreds of thousands of eras. Moreover, the lifespan would increase as the cultivation level of a sage ruler increased. In other words, as long as a sage ruler was not killed, they would be eternal and indestructible. It was too difficult to kill a sage ruler. Everyone, I have a big gift for all of you this time. Suddenly, Lin Chen stood up with a smirk on his face. The servants opened their eyes and looked at Lin Chen in confusion. Now, other than the cultivation technique, choose an ultimate technique that you're good at and practice it in your spiritual consciousness. Don't stop. Lin Chen pointed at Fong Ling and laughed excitedly. Let's start with you, Fong Ling. Fong Ling was stunned, but he had absolute trust in his master. He sat down cross-legged, and while his Saint Acupoint absorbed a huge amount of gold Saint Origin coins, he activated his cultivation technique and practiced the ultimate Watchtower sword technique in his spiritual consciousness. Lin Chen walked in front of Fong Ling, pointed at his forehead, and issued an order to the system. System, I want to activate the attribute transfer function and transfer intermediate strengthening points. Host activating attribute transfer function. 10,000 top-tier heavens path points have been consumed. Beginning to transfer attribute points and strengthen the target's cultivation technique. Successfully strengthened the target's cultivation technique +1. 4,000 intermediate strengthening points have been consumed. Successfully strengthened the target's chosen combat technique +1. 3,200 intermediate strengthening points have been consumed. Enhance. 2 hours later. Kaboom! A certain plane of space in the saint's world was pulverized by a towering sword chi. Not even a speck of it remained. Wherever the sword chi passed by, it severed the stars and split the sun and moon in half in just an instant. All the servants were dumbfounded. Even Lang Fanyun was dumbfounded. Lin Ping An's little eyes were filled with question marks. She was the only one who didn't understand what was going on. Lang Fanyun, who used to be an expert, stuttered comically. I'm not dreaming, right? What happened? Am I crazy or is the world crazy? Fong Ling laughed out loud. Ha 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 ha, Fanyun, why don't we have a friendly match now? I'm afraid you'll be beaten up by me. Lang Fanyun was dumbfounded, and he blurted out, This is F*King not fair. What kind of medicine did the Lord feed you? Fong Ling's strength had increased by another level. Chapter 1627. Fong Ling shrugged. I don't know either. I keep feeling like I've entered a very mysterious state. It's like every time I circulate my mental cultivation method and practice my cultivation method, my comprehension and power will deepen. Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun had fought for many eras, and their strength had always been on par. It was the same even after becoming a sage ruler. However, Fong Ling had now surpassed Lang Fanyun. His sword skills and mental cultivation method had suddenly become several times more powerful. If it was converted to overall combat strength, it had increased by at least 30%. The Sage Ruler realm was different from the Heaven Opening realm. Wu Pianju could increase her strength several times in the Heaven Opening realm with her martial god bloodline. That was because orange-grade high-grade cultivation methods had a great impact on the Heaven Opening realm. An orange-grade high-grade cultivation method could determine the outcome of a Heaven Opening realm battle. However, an orange-grade high-grade cultivation method could not determine the outcome of a Sage Ruler battle. In addition, the Sage Ruler realm had a higher requirement for Sage energy cultivation. Therefore, the increase in power of cultivation methods and mental cultivation methods was not as crazy as in the Heaven Opening realm. However, A 30% increase in combat strength was already an astronomical figure for a sage ruler. After all, a rare 9th-grade sacred artifact could only increase a sage ruler's strength by 30%. This was equivalent to Fong Ling directly adding a 9th-grade sacred artifact's strength, and it was the kind that could be stacked. Everyone could only look at Lin Chen. At this moment, Lin Chen pretended to be deep in thought as he looked up at the void and sighed. Actually, I've always been very low-key. However, now that things have come to this, I have no choice but to do so." Everyone held their breaths. No way. What kind of monster was their lord? Could it be that he still had a trump card that he had yet to use after challenging a 9th-grade sect? Lin Chen laughed mockingly. "I'll stop pretending. I'm actually the kind of handsome guy who can create martial gods in batches." Everyone's jaws dropped slightly. Create martial gods in batches? Martial gods could increase the power of cultivation methods by several times. Wait. Their lord could also increase the power of cultivation methods that he had cultivated by several times. Could it be that he could give this ability to others? Everyone instantly thought of this, and their minds exploded. Wouldn't that be taking off? "My lord, quick, let me experience it too. I can't stand being surpassed by this guy." Lang Fanyun no longer had the demeanor of an expert as he held on to Lin Chen like a child, his face full of anticipation. "Alright, you should start circulating your mental cultivation method as well. You can only choose one of the two." Lang Fanyun did the same, and Lin Chen did the same thing again. 2 hours later. Boom. The saber chi was like a surging tide, and a wisp of saber insight that was like a strong wave slashed through the heavens and the earth. It slashed out of the universe and didn't disperse for a long time, and it was on par with Fong Ling's sword strike from before. Witnessing this miraculous scene once again, the servants were simply dumbfounded and stood rooted to the ground. It was too heaven-defying. What kind of heaven-defying act was this? This was an act of creation that not even the gods could accomplish. Perhaps God could bestow upon a saint king a fortuitous encounter, but it was absolutely impossible for him to increase the power of a saint king's cultivation method by several times without any risk. If they hadn't seen it with their own eyes, they definitely wouldn't have believed it. Lin Chen laughed loudly. His laughter was especially coquettish. "Ha ha ha ha. Come, don't be in a hurry. Do it one by one. Situ Changxing, my lord is forever God. Chifian, first there is my lord, then there is the heavens. If you want to know how awesome my lord is, then look at how high the heavens are. Long Jiushan, Aleph * King blow it up." That's right, this was the power of attribute transfer. Lin Chen could transfer non-growth attribute points to anyone. Previously, although he could use the enhance function to strengthen other people's saint weapons, he couldn't give them the enhance mental cultivation method. Because the cultivation methods engraved in other people's minds weren't devices and couldn't be enhanced. However, the attribute transfer function had achieved this heaven-defying act that Lin Chen didn't even dare to think about. It was equivalent to him transferring the enhance points to them to enhance their cultivation methods and mental cultivation methods. The power of the cultivation methods and mental cultivation methods of the servants present would have a qualitative leap. Although the attribute transfer function is powerful, the drawbacks are also very obvious. The consumption is too severe. Enhancing a specific cultivation method requires 5,000 top-grade Heaven's Path points, and enhancing a mental cultivation method with a combat technique requires 10,000 top-grade Heaven's Path points. Also, enhancing to plus 15 will also consume a lot of enhance points. Although I still have 890,000 top-grade Heaven's Path points, this is a huge amount of enhance points that can only be obtained by killing a Sage King and a large number of sages. If I use it all up, without an ultimate heaven-defying being, a Sage King won't be that easy to kill, After careful consideration, Lin Chen decided to only give his servants the strengthening plus 15 technique that he was good at and his own mental cultivation method. The strengthened cultivation methods of the servants would have a qualitative leap, and once used, it would be able to catch the enemy off guard and become one of the greatest killing moves. Moreover, spatial divine techniques like Shaolin Er's would be even more shocking after being enhanced. At that time, it might even surpass the Dark Shadow race. 1.5 days later, Enhance plus 15 mental cultivation method completed. For everyone. Although I still have a lot of enhance points, I'll use them sparingly. First, I'll enhance everyone to plus 15. Next, I'll focus on enhancing the Divine Dragon bloodline. Lin Chen's heart raced. Even if he had more than 1 billion enhance points, he was still nervous. Version 8.0 of the system had an upper limit of Enhance plus 17. The ancient Taishi Dragon bloodline required hundreds of thousands of enhance points each time. It was not easy to enhance it to plus 17. However, once he succeeded, Lin Chen would achieve the true absolute defense. Lin Chen opened the system interface. System, begin enhancing the ancient Taishi Dragon bloodline. Start with 500 million enhance points until there's nothing left. Consuming 820,000 intermediate enhance points, enhancing the ancient Taishi Dragon bloodline, the enhance points were consumed crazily. Lin Chen's heart raced. In the end, it stopped at Enhance plus 14, not even reaching 15. Damn it, it's so dark. As expected, the Divine Dragon bloodline is not so easy to enhance. Lin Chen gritted his teeth. Another 300 million enhance points. System, continue. The enhance points continued to be consumed, but the system kept popping up the words, Enhance failed. Lin Chen's heart was bleeding. He only had 23 million enhance points left, and it was still failing. The enhance successful. Ancient Taishi Dragon bloodline plus 15. Total enhancement, 410%. Remaining 2 million enhance points. Lin Chen heaved a sigh of relief. Fortunately, it was done. If it did not, he would be so angry that he would vomit blood. However, consuming 11 million enhance points. Ancient Taishi Dragon bloodline plus 16. Total enhancement, 520%. Remaining 109 million enhance points. Automatic enhancement has been stopped. Lin Chen's mouth was slightly open. It was connected. How the F***ck did they connect? Could it be that extreme bad luck was good luck? Enhancement plus 16 could increase the power by 110%. Now, the ancient Taishi Dragon bloodline had increased by more than 5 times. Coupled with the Divine Dragon's current supreme power, when he used the Taishi Divine Light, no one below the half-step Holy King level could hurt him. It was truly invincible. Chapter 1628. I'm afraid that even a half-step Holy King would take a long time to attack it. Ha ha ha, this is the strongest defense below the Holy King level. I have a life-saving method now. Lin Chen then opened the talent column. He also had a talent forcibly upgrader that could upgrade a low-level talent to an orange talent. After careful and steady consideration, Lin Chen finally chose Dual Cultivation Sexual Union. Well, as a gentleman, I definitely don't want to do anything bad. I just don't like green talents. Orange looks really good. I'll go back and try it with Sister Ruoyan when I have time. Lin Chen had a righteous look and almost believed himself. He looked at the spoils of war in his hands again. This time, he killed many holy kings and a large number of strong people. The value of the fate plant pouches was heaven-defying. Lin Chen didn't take it alone. Instead, he gave most of the fate plant pouches to the servants. Although the servants had recovered their cultivation, other than their own strength, their foundation hadn't really recovered to their peak. To put it bluntly, other than their abilities, they were very poor. Even though the servants knew the coordinates of many mystic realms and could find cultivation resources, the concentrated resources seemed to be a lot for Lin Chen, but in fact it was just a drop in the bucket for every servant. This battle was the fastest shortcut to replenish their resources. Therefore, Lin Chen only took the fate plant pouches of Yin Son of Heaven, Clear Sky Holy King, and Wu Weiyang, and the rest were distributed to the servants. Let me see what treasures are in the fate plant pouches of Yin Son of Heaven, Clear Sky Holy King, and Wu Family's Holy King. When Lin Chen opened the 3 supreme-grade fate plant pouches, rumble! A burst of fresh and clean spiritual energy blew over, and Lin Chen's spiritual consciousness was like a spring breeze. When he saw the home of Yin Son of Heaven, Clear Sky Holy King, and Wu Weiyang, his eyes widened. 3 supreme-grade fate plant pouches, the total storage area was equivalent to 1/3 of 9 states. F***CK 152 kinds of high-grade spirit plants of fate, 480 kinds of middle-grade spirit plants of fate, all of them have odd crystals. Clear Sky Holy King also has a large number of pill recipes. This is a supreme-grade spiritual plant of destiny, Essence Spirit Immortal Lotus. What a coincidence! My mental state is just one step away from fully entering the primordial spirit realm. Furthermore, I can give it to you Wangxing to help his alchemy skills reach a higher level. This scroll is the cultivation method of high-grade odd crystals. He actually perfected it. Lin Chen's heart trembled. Not to mention the gold Saint Origin coins everywhere, Clear Heaven's Sacred King actually had a supreme-grade spirit plant. In addition, in the Yin Son of Heaven's fate plant pouch, there were hundreds of odd crystals condensed and hanging on the body of the fate plant. This wave of profits was insane. Lin Chen counted them carefully. Currently, there are a total of 890 high-grade odd crystals, and there are thousands of middle-grade and low-grade odd crystals. The wealth that Yin Son of Heaven has accumulated over the years is truly terrifying. It could be said that more than half of the odd crystals in the entire sacred boundary were controlled by Yin Son of Heaven. It was no wonder that the inheritance of the ancient god would cause a war between the saints. The Yin Son of Heaven obtained the inheritance of the ancient god and could be said to be in control of the odd crystal lifeline of the sacred boundary. If he became a sacred king, he would truly be one of the best among the current sacred kings. In the battle that day, 70,000 odd crystals was the limit of his control. If he controlled all the odd crystals now, Lin Chen might not be able to break through his defense. Lin Chen decided that the middle-grade and low-grade odd crystals would be used to refine pills, while the high-grade odd crystals would be for him to absorb. Then, when Lin Chen turned to look at Wu Weiyang's fate plant pouch, his eyes were dazzled. In the center of the fate plant pouch was a piece of golden meteoric iron that was like the moon surrounded by stars. It was 2 inches long and 3 inches wide, and its entire body was shining with endless golden light. It was quietly placed in a heavenly one sacred water pool, releasing an indestructible divine light that seemed to contain billions of black iron. Lin Chen's pupils constricted. This item had divinity. It far surpassed any 9th-grade sacred ore. Heavenly gold divine iron? This is actually a piece of divine iron. Divine iron was a material that could be used to forge divine weapons. However, this piece of divine iron was too small and couldn't be used to forge any divine weapons. But it was still a divine material. It was the highest-grade material Lin Chen had ever seen. Great, as expected of the sacred king of the martial god family, his foundation is so strong. With this divine iron and 124 high-grade metal-type odd crystals cultivated by Yin Son of Heaven, my ultimate armor can be born. Lin Chen was ecstatic. He had been waiting for so long, and it was finally here. The 5th God of War component. Lin Chen activated the spiritual avatar he left in the Ice Heart Palace and opened the ultra-space dimension, transferring the energy of the innate five elements' primordial essence into the ultra-space dimension. Lin Chun immediately ordered, "System, I want to use the blueprint for the ultimate armor. War God Set, Ultimate Armor Blueprint." Materials required: 1 billion points of set essence, 200,000 points of advanced heaven path points, 9th grade innate 5 elements primordial essence, 1 inch of heavenly gold divine iron, 100 high-grade metal-type odd crystals, 1,000 mid-grade metal-type odd crystals, 20,000 mid-grade strengthening points. Conditions met, consumed the specified materials, beginning production. Buzz! In Lin Chen's sea of consciousness, he suddenly felt a dazzling divine radiance. A dazzling god of war armor slowly descended from the system space. Then, it fused with Lin Chen's arm and leg armor to form a complete set of armor, leaving only the war god helmet. Production successful. Ultimate War God Armor, 1% charged. War God Armor additional characteristic, War God Golden Body. After wearing the War God Armor, the user will gain double the defense of the War God set. If the host uses the War God set to increase his supreme power by 800,000, the host will gain double the defense of 800,000 supreme power attack. Note: when the characteristic is activated, it will accelerate the charging of the War God set. Wow, the War God Armor also has a set characteristic. I didn't collect so many materials in vain. System, inject all the set essence at this stage into the charging. Consumed 2,870 billion points of set essence, beginning to charge the 5-piece War God set. Charging complete, the 5-piece War God set is at 74% to 75%. Note: after 60% of the War God set is charged, every 5% increase in charging will trigger a qualitative transformation. Lin Chun had more confidence in breaking through the holy purgatory this time. With the 5-piece War God set in hand, Lin Chun now needed to increase his body refinement realm. If his flesh shell was too weak, he wouldn't be able to unleash the power of the War God set no matter how high the charging was. According to the system, the War God set can only unleash its full power after it is collected. Also, there is a huge difference between a complete War God set and an incomplete War God set. Body refinement had become the shortcoming of Lin Chen's trump card, the War God set. In that case, system, I want to undergo the 4th stage of flesh shell awakening. Chapter 1629. Boom, boom, boom. Lin Chen's saint physique radiated with a brand new vitality and power. Every inch of his flesh and blood was brimming with the power of a desolate ancient remnant. The servants were astonished. Long Jiushan was stunned. How did the Lord's physique refinement strength increase so much? Shangguan Wudi nodded. It was 48,000 venerable strength just now, and now it's 55,000. In the end, Lin Chen's pure strength had just broken through 60,000 venerable strength. His physique refinement foundation was 12,000 venerable strength, and his body had awakened 4 times, so it was 60,000 venerable strength. System, help me strengthen my current cultivation technique to plus 17. Lin Chen's strength was rising rapidly. In the first level of the holy prison, a blazing sun hung high in the sky. At the top of the pitch-black tower sat 4 figures. All 4 of them were Saint Kings. Wu Clan's Saint King, what do you want to say? We have just returned, and we still have to wait for our 2 brothers to return before we go on a crusade against that Lin Chen. Do you want to join us? The Saint King in black armor said in a low voice. His blood chi was as strong as a primordial beast's, and his breath was like a tornado, destroying the light and turning it dark. He was a physique refinement Saint King. His blood chi was so strong that he was like an overlord, and he could destroy a star with a single breath. Wu Clan's ancestor, who was sitting opposite of him, smiled. We have a common enemy, and we'll deal with him together. You guys want his life, and I only want his spiritual consciousness. How about that? What a joke. The second Saint King from the holy prison looked ferocious with 3 scars on his face. His saint eyes shone with a cruel light. You want us to kill him, and you'll take his spiritual consciousness and interrogate him for his secrets? As someone who could kill 2 Saint Kings from the holy prison, how could his secrets be ordinary? The Wu clan wanted to treat the holy prison as their workers. The 3 Saint Kings saw through it immediately. The Wu family's ancestor was calm and composed as he smiled casually. But it is precisely because your sacred prison attempted to pry into the God Emperor's remains that you sent out all of your heaven-opening experts, which led to the sacred prison's fall, didn't you? That mistake was caused by your own actions. The last one was a gentle and elegant cyan-robed young master, who seemed to always have a smile on his face. He gently waved his white feather fan and said, Lin Chun took away the last batch of experts from the Saint prison. Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun broke through to Saint King and reappeared. Their team's strength is much stronger than before. I've heard that Lin Chun has released the Pain Disaster as well. Even if the 2 of you return, we 5 Saint rulers will probably have to pay quite a price to take down Lin Chun and the others. This is indeed our mistake, said Jian Chun. The corners of the cyan-robed young master's mouth curled up into a smile. A sharp light flashed across his eyes as he understood the other party's thoughts. The Wu family's ancestor smiled but didn't say anything. It was as if he had absolute confidence in this operation. Green-robed Sage King said indifferently, Wu family's saint ruler, you must have seen through this. You know that the sacred prison can't completely suppress them, so you came to us to cooperate. Tell me about your conditions and price. This is a matter of weighing the pros and cons, the Wu family's ancestor laughed. The price is this old man. How about it? Is a saint ruler enough? The cyan-robed young master shook his head. Not enough. A saint ruler is indeed very precious, but wanting to share this child's secrets with just this is simply wishful thinking. The Wu family's ancestor seemed to have expected this and revealed a sly smile. If this old man isn't enough, then this is enough. The Wu family's ancestor took out a crimson cloud treasure box that was surrounded by a powerful sealing force. The treasure box was surrounded by crimson clouds, faintly releasing a brilliant divine aura. The beautiful and exquisite blood jade was like the most dazzling star in the sky. At this moment, the cyan-robed young master's smile disappeared, and his expression was unprecedentedly solemn. He took a deep breath and said seriously, This is God blood. The martial God family actually wants to bet on this. Even the other 2 saint rulers felt a suffocating pressure. It was as if the saint rulers were as weak as ants in front of the power in the treasure box. The Wu family's ancestor smiled. For the reputation of the martial god, we don't care. The 3 saint rulers fell into silence. It had to be said that the martial god family was betting big. The cyan-robed Sage King said, I agree to your conditions. Then, I wish us a happy cooperation. The martial god family and the sacred prison had officially joined forces. Bang! Almost as soon as he finished speaking, there was a loud bang. The space below the sacred prison suddenly exploded, and the space shook violently. Many of the returning experts of the sacred prison were shocked. At this juncture, someone actually dared to break into the sacred prison? Who ate the bear's heart and leopard's guts? Back to 8 hours ago, in the Wood Sea's Tianqing's secret realm, Lin Chun and his servants appeared and floated in the air. If it were an ordinary saint, it would take a long time to reach the green territory from the saint ruler region. With Xiao Ling Er's space divine art and Zi Qianqiu's array, they crossed more than 10 regions in less than 10 days and arrived here at lightning speed. Lin Chun found the secret space passage from before with ease. When he found that it could still be used, he smiled knowingly at the servants. In the past, the holy prison that they were extremely afraid of, the servants would never have dreamed that it would appear again, and this time, they were the ones who took the initiative to enter. Lin Chen snapped his fingers and laughed. This time, we'll go in and turn it upside down. As long as there's something valuable, take it all. Long Jiushan was eager to try. The sacred prison bastards caused so many experts to die in vain back then. They must have plundered more than a little. Take what you can and destroy what you can't. Don't give these bastards a way out. Let's go. When Lin Chen and the others appeared at the gate of the sacred prison's second level, they smiled knowingly when they saw the towering gate. Lin Chen gracefully turned around and gave him a kick. Boom! The gate of the sacred prison's second level collapsed. At this moment, all the experts in the sacred prison were alarmed. The first level, what happened? Saint King Xianqing, it's Lin Chen. Lin Chen is here again. He even brought 2 Saint Kings, Fong Ling and Lang Fanyun. Bang! The black-armored Saint King smashed the jade platform with his palm. The top of the black tower trembled and was about to collapse. He glared angrily. Damn it, it's Lin Chen again. Does he think the sacred prison is a brothel that he can come and go as he pleases? No. The young man's voice echoed in the first level of the sacred prison. A group of figures came from the horizon, and the silver-robed young man in the lead laughed. I don't think the sacred prison is a brothel. I'm a good citizen and have won the Guang Shui City's Top 10 Good Person Award. With my character, I'll pay twice the price when I go to a brothel. But today, not only am I not paying, I'm also going to turn this place upside down. Lin Chen laughed mockingly. Aren't you embarrassed? In front of a handsome guy like me, you're even worse than a brothel. Bang, bang, bang. Dozens of beams of sacred light were like pillars of light, and the dozens of experts in the first level of the sacred prison were instantly enraged. This was 2F** King intolerable. This motherf** Kerr was trying to bully them. The servants laughed maniacally. The sacred prison was even worse than a brothel? Throughout the ages, only he, Lin Chen, would be able to say such words. Chapter 1630. Boom, boom, boom. Holy King Ghostfiend, Holy King Qian Kuan, and Holy King Tian Xiang. The 3 holy kings of the holy purgatory stepped into the air and looked at Lin Chen and the others from afar. The strength of these 3 people was not any weaker than the 2 holy kings from before. Originally, they wanted to gather their forces before looking for Lin Chen, but they did not expect him to come knocking on their door first. It seemed that this kid was the type who did not play by the rules. Lin Chen raised his eyebrows and laughed. You 3 holy kings, why are you hiding in the holy purgatory? If only you came to the holy flame palace together. I don't have many hobbies, but I like to pack up all the holy purgatory's holy kings and take them away. Kaboom! The bad-tempered holy King Tian Xiang struck out with his palm. The world spun and the light dimmed. It was as if thousands of giant elephants were rolling toward them, and the surroundings were filled with dazzling giant beasts. It was a pure power attack. Fong Ling's sword slashed horizontally, and the holy sword formed by his holy power was like an aurora, cutting through all the celestial phenomena. The sinister holy king Ghostfiend narrowed his eyes. Fong Ling? He really entered the holy king realm? What kind of heaven-defying opportunity did he get? And his realm is so stable, it doesn't look like a newly advanced state at all. It was already beyond their expectations that they had recovered to their peak after breaking out of the prison. Entering the Holy King realm was simply a fantasy. If they had not seen it with their own eyes, they would not have believed the information they had received. Shangguan Wudi sneered. You old fogies haven't made any progress after so many years. Don't worry, there will be more and more Holy Kings in our team. As soon as he said that, Holy King Ghostfiend and Holy King Tian Xiang's anger and killing intent intensified. Since that was the case, they could not let them leave. After all, the holy purgatory was their territory. Since they dared to come knocking on their door, they were fighting in their territory. Holy King Ghostfiend shouted coldly, "Everyone, listen to my orders. Kill them all, wait." The elegant and handsome Holy King Qian Kuan suddenly shouted. He stared at Lin Chen, who had a playful smile on his face as he suddenly said, "Half of you, head to the passageway to the holy prison. Go to the 16th floor and keep an eye on other criminals. Also, rank 9 cultivators, guard the entrance to the first layer of the resource-secluded domain." The actions of Lin Chen and the others made him feel that something was off. According to their abilities, sneak attacks should be the most effective way to injure them. Why did they deliberately appear? There must be something fishy going on. The expressions of Lin Chen's servants changed when they heard this. Lin Chen withdrew his playful smile and said with interest, as expected of the Saint King, seeing through my intentions with a single glance, "I really can't play dirty with these old monsters." Long Jiushan said casually, "My lord, let's not talk nonsense with them. Let's just fight." Lin Chen laughed loudly. "Then let's face them head-on." These prison guards guarding the holy prison were all experts of the holy prison's 4 squads. They had fought alongside the Saint Kings for many eras. Most of them had rank 7 and above cultivation level, a total of 88 people. Other than the 10 rank 9 saints, half of them were guarding the resource-secluded domain's treasury. With the remaining strength, if they worked together, Lin Chen's peak stage rank 9 would have to fight 4 or 5 of them alone. If everyone was at their peak state, it would not be a problem. However, after the battle at the Godly Flame Palace, everyone's condition had not been adjusted so quickly. Everyone's overall battle power was around 70%. If they counted the martial arts that Lin Chen had given them, they would be even stronger at their peak. Rumble. A pressure that soared into the sky descended. Another Saint King had actually appeared. Lin Chen's gaze shifted. A figure was stepping on the air from a tower far away. Wu Clan's ancestor. Heaven Earth Saint King smiled coldly. "It seems that you truly want to cooperate. Although the timing is not right, we can catch all of them here." Only to see Wu Clan's ancestor's gaze shift as he suddenly smiled. "Since I have appeared, Pain Calamity should have appeared as well." Wu Clan's ancestor's gaze swept across the first layer of the holy prison like a sharp blade. A Saint King was a Saint King after all. He knew all of Lin Chen's movements. Even though Lin Chen had not appeared yet, Wu Clan's ancestor was sure that Lin Chen would bring her here. Battle God set. Buzz. For the first time, Lin Chen's Ares God of War set was attached to his body. The invincible godly aura that could shatter thousands of worlds entered his body. The first level of the Saint Prison was filled with a dazzling golden light. "Is this kid's trump card?" Heaven Earth Saint King was observing Lin Chen. Lin Chen was currently in a sealed state. He could not use his holy power cultivation. He had to rely on the battle god set to fight against rank 8 experts and above. Boom. 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 Golden divine light surrounded Lin Chen's body. His pure strength instantly broke through from 60,000 venerables to 500,000, 800,000, 900,000 venerables. He stopped at half-step Saint King peak stage. As expected, without the God Slayer state, I can only reach 900,000 venerables. Although the battle god set has become stronger, my foundation has not caught up. In the sealed state, Lin Chen could not use the God Slayer talent. He could only use pure strength to fight. Right now, he could be considered an expert below Saint King. Bam! Lin Chen took a step forward and shattered the void. He took the lead and charged towards the direction of the prison guards. Spectre Saint King flicked his finger, ghost energy whistled, and turned into a finger that shot towards Lin Chen. "Don't you dare harm my lord!" Lang Fan Yun slashed with his saber, cutting through the sun, moon, and stars, destroying countless ghosts. The two kings clashed, intercepting each other. Fong Ling faced Tian Xiang Saint King head-on. His sword pierced through myriad phenomena. His sword danced in the air. As the four kings fought, the first layer of the holy prison began to shake intensely. On the other side, Ji Wuchen said seriously, "In that case, let's attack together. Surround him and attack." Jiang Waner said, "Cooperate with Wudi and Flying Flame to hold back Heaven Earth Saint King, don't fight him head-on. As for the rest, leave them to me, Fei Xue and my lord." Qi Fian and Shangguan Wudi had expended a lot of energy to hold back a venerable guardian in the battle at the Divine Flame Palace. If they were to hold back a Saint King now, it would be a very dangerous thing to do. Hence, the people on the 19th layer had to assist the two of them. That was the best way to hold back Heaven Earth Saint King. Heaven Earth Saint King saw that he was surrounded and smiled. "Instead of protecting your lord, you're looking for trouble with me?" Long Jiushan sneered. "My lord doesn't need our protection, you should worry about yourself first." Just as he finished speaking, he raised his hand and punched. Terrifying pure strength surged forward, shattering the light and darkening the sky. Qi Fian drew his bow and shot while Qin Jiuxiao swung his battle axe. Situ Chongqing released his primordial spirit enchantment in one breath. Facing a Saint King, they used their killing moves as soon as they met. Chaotic battles broke out everywhere, only Wu Clan's patriarch stood still. His gaze was constantly scanning the surroundings. He was waiting for Lin Ping to appear. As long as he did not move, the other party's calamity of pain would not be able to move easily. If he were to ambush Lin Chen now, he might have a chance to break through, but this was equivalent to leaving his back to calamity of pain. In such a situation, whoever made the first move would be at a disadvantage. Wu Clan's patriarch guarded the first layer of the holy prison and did not move easily. The battle was in a stalemate. Chapter 1631. Heaven and Earth Saint King was fighting with everyone while secretly observing. He activated his secret technique to observe his surroundings while continuing to hide his strength. If we count according to those guys on the 19th level, Jiang Taishu and Yu Wangxing are not here, Suffering Disaster has not appeared, and Heaven and Earth Annihilation has not appeared. Are they not here, or are they hiding? Yu Wangxing is nothing to worry about, but the others are different. On the other side, just as Heaven and Earth Saint King had expected, Lin Chen's main body was in charge of fighting head-on and attracting attention. His phantom doppelganger had already brought Xiao Ling, and another servant, Gui Jianchou, to move quickly. Extreme K Heaven Splitting Sword. Lin Chen slashed open the giant spatial door of the 5th level. Xiao Ling, opened a spatial passage in the blink of an eye and quickly sneaked into the 6th level. Lin Chen's doppelganger said to Xiao Ling, in a deep voice in the spatial passage. "Ling, how long will it take to reach the 16th level? Our main body has already been discovered by the other party." Xiao Ling said, "It will take at least 30 minutes, and we can't encounter any battles along the way. Looks like we have to fight this battle." Lin Chen's phantom doppelganger once again released 3 doppelgangers. The sacred dragon appeared out of thin air, and the power of the sacred dragon filled the spatial passage. This time, Lin Chen wanted to go to the 16th level again and bring more helpers out. Now that his cultivation was no longer the same as before, and his spiritual realm was about to transform into a primordial spirit, adding a group of servants would not be a problem at all. However, Lin Chen did not want just anyone. This time, he specially brought the heavenly eye Gui Jianchou to identify heroes from all walks of life. Gui Jianchou's heavenly eye could see the karma and lives of saints of the same level as him or below. Those who were tainted with more evil karma and evil aura were more vicious and evil. From the 16th level onwards, there was no one whose cultivation level was higher than Gui Jianchou's, so he could identify as much as he wanted. Lin Chen would not care about those who committed all kinds of evil, treacherous and sinister, or saints whose hands were stained with blood and mountains of corpses. Boom! With another sword strike, Lin Chen broke through to the 9th level like a hot knife through butter. His target this time was the powerhouses of the 16th and 14th level. The experts imprisoned in these 3 floors were basically rank 7 to rank 4 experts. If he could bring them out, he would definitely be able to form a powerful force. What's going on? The space gate has been severed? Something's wrong. A powerful invader has already reached the next level. The moment the prison guards saw that the spatial door was destroyed, they immediately transmitted their voices to the next level. Holy Prison's 12th level's spatial gate. After discovering the invaders, the saints of the prison guards gathered there immediately. There were a total of 36 7th Revolution sages and more than 10 3rd Revolution sages. All of them had returned after exploring the star system where the Divine Emperor's ruins were located. Their original plan was to go to the 16th floor. However, if they fought on the 16th floor, they did not have absolute confidence in stopping the intruders from releasing the other prisoners. Therefore, they had to delay the enemy on the 12th floor. This time, we must avenge our past humiliation. Remember, stop them at all costs. They are the ones who have nowhere else to go. How dare they come to our holy prison? They are simply courting death. As long as we can stall them here, the lords will definitely be able to exterminate them when they return. We have the jade slip to open the space gate. Be careful, they might appear at any moment. The group of powerful prison guards had just finished speaking. Just as they finished speaking, boom, boom, boom. The towering spatial door behind them was severed. Everyone was dumbfounded. What kind of freaking demonic art was this? They were rank 7 and rank 8 experts, but they could not even sense the spatial trajectory. This was like a freaking ghost. Don't care if we can see them or not, they must pass through the space gate. Attack! A rank 8 old antique shouted as he condensed his cultivation and slashed 3 times with his claws. His aura surged and his claw aura covered the stars and moon. The other experts reacted quickly and immediately focused their attacks on the severed spatial door. The attacks swept through the starry sky and came in all shapes and sizes. They flashed across the sky and attacked from all directions. Gui Jiancho, who was hiding in the void, stood up with a solemn expression. Such a terrifying wave of attacks was enough to threaten the life of a rank 9 saint. Even a rank 9 peak stage saint would have to deal with it with all his strength. Xiao Ling put her palms together, and silver-white spatial light fluttered like butterflies. She also looked like she was preparing to attack. Don't attack, the speed will be slow. Let me deal with them. Lin Chen's clone smiled confidently as he stood at the back of the void passage and faced the rapidly approaching wave of attacks. Lin Chen slammed his palm across the sky, and 100,000 feet long gray-white talisman blotted out the sky and bloomed. Host used Saint Runes, energy 4,000 points, activating rank 8 slow rune. When the gray-white talisman exploded, all the space froze and stopped, as if it was still. The space froze to the point that it seemed to have stopped all attacks. Almost at the same time, the 4 clones took out their saint artifact. Absolute Flame Saber, Freezing Heaven Sword, 9 Firmament Star Fury Bow, and 3 saint-level flying daggers. Lin Chen's main body could not use saint power cultivation, but his clones could. Hosts used 1,600 talent points, activating Instant Light Split Shadows talent. God's Tear, Red Flame Heaven Burning Arrow, Ju Speed Sword, Lotus Dance. The fragments of the saber aura were like a storm, and the sword aura was like a tide. The lotus saber aura that danced wildly in the sky whizzed over, and the arrow light that burned the sky fell straight down, splitting into 5. Bam! 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 Near the space passage, the space within a radius of millions of miles exploded into faults, turning heaven and earth upside down. Lin Chen's move, combined with the slow rune, still did not stop the attacks of the prison guards, but weakened 1/3 of their power. My lord has become stronger again. The same thought flashed across Xiaoling, Er's and Gui Jianchou's minds. Compared to when he fought the 9 Saint Talents alone, his cultivation level did not change, but the power of his techniques had completely increased by several levels. Almost at the same time, the Saint Dragon, shining with golden light, danced in the sky. With a swing of its tail, the dragon's body rapidly enlarged, releasing endless reddish-gold dragon breath that wrapped around the dragon's body and turned into a red glow, protecting its body with divine light. Taishi Divine Light. When the reddish-gold divine light enveloped the Saint Dragon, the dragon's body blocked, and all the attacks bombarded. Boom! The space passage created by Xiaoling shook violently for a moment, and the attacks slowly dissipated. They saw that Lin Chen's Saint Dragon and clone were unscathed. When the clone retreated into the space passage, the Saint Dragon spun rapidly and returned to the body. Gui Jianchou's face was full of surprise and astonishment. He knew that this clone of his lord had his true cultivation level, but this was too terrifying. Under the premise that he had dealt with the previous attack in a panic, even he might not have been able to escape unscathed. Lin Chen's clone grinned. The +16 strengthening of the Divine Dragon bloodline and +17 strengthening of the techniques are indeed awesome. You can take a huge wave of attacks head-on, and even withstand a wave of attacks comparable to a 9th transformation saint's without any damage. Awesome. Let's charge down at this speed. On the other side, the prison guards whose attacks had been blocked were stunned, and they almost doubted their lives. To be able to block their attacks so easily, could it be that the other party had a half-step Holy King? Damn it, don't care who they are, chase after them. The old antiques shouted coldly and led everyone into the giant space door. At this moment, whoosh! Another grayish-white talisman that covered the stars and the moon shot over and suddenly exploded, catching them off guard. Their saint power and movements all became especially slow, and their reactions were slow. When some of them with the highest cultivation level broke through the restraints, 10 breaths had already passed. Lin Chen's clone went straight down to the 16th level. Chapter 1632. On the 16th floor of the Holy Dungeon. Dead silence filled the entire 16th floor. It was dark, cold, and sunless. Countless islands floated in the air, and pieces of broken stars floated around. This place had been turned upside down by Lin Chen before. More than half of the area was destroyed, which reduced the number of cages. However, there was a hint of vitality in the eyes of the strong people who were imprisoned here. Because in less than a year, they had regained a short period of freedom and temporarily had the sacred power to resist the holy dungeon. At least they had experienced the feeling of being alive again. Rumble! Bang! The portal on the 16th floor collapsed. This loud noise alarmed countless strong people. What's going on? Are they fighting again? It can't be that handsome demon again, right? Haha, don't think too much. Who can enter the holy dungeon twice? If he can enter the holy dungeon again, he'll be captured. If he can come, I'll eat this cage on the spot. While the prisoners on the 16th floor were discussing, at this moment, a bright young man's voice was heard. Everyone, I'm the most handsome man in the sacred boundary who fought my way into the holy dungeon a year ago, Lin Chen. On one of the caged islands, Lin Chen's doppelganger transmitted his voice everywhere. I'm the one who pretended to be the demon who came in a year ago. I was in a hurry before, so I didn't have time to show off and bring you all out. This time, I'm here to bring you all out. However, I only want people with normal temperaments. Those with evil intentions and bloodthirsty people can stay here obediently. Those who follow me, give me your life and spirit and become my servant. I can bring you all out of the holy dungeon and return to the sacred boundary. As soon as he said that, the 16th floor became eerily quiet. Hey, who said he was going to eat the cage just now? Please start your performance. I don't know which brother is laughing out loud. If they didn't believe it, they wouldn't be willing to believe it. However, news about the sacred boundary was sealed. Only they knew that the one who sneaked into the holy dungeon was a demon. How did he know? Unless he was the demon from back then. There are still pursuers behind us. I don't have time to think about it. If you want to leave or stay here, give me a definite answer. Lin Chen shrugged. His gaze swept across the entire 16th floor. There were still quite a few experts here. Some even had rank 8 cultivation level, but their injuries were too severe. They were at most in life and death or soul star realm. Is he a human? No wonder those fellows from the 19th level left with him. Should we believe him, or is this a scheme of the demons? It doesn't seem like it. This lad is full of righteousness and his mental energy is very pure. He has the feeling that he is about to reach the immortal soul stage. Demons don't have any primordial spirit, so it can't be fake. You said you're a human and not a demon, right? A hoarse voice sounded. Lin Chen looked over. It was a one-armed man with shackles all over his body. His hair was disheveled, and although his eyes were turbid, they were still sharp. Gui Jianchou activated the greenish-yellow heavenly eye on his forehead and saw through this person's karma, good and evil. He immediately nodded at Lin Chen, indicating that there was no problem. Lin Chen smiled. That's right, human. The real deal. The one-armed man's eyes flashed sharply. Then let me out, I'm willing to follow you. Lin Chen immediately flicked his finger and removed the 9-killer seal. He directly imprinted Zhou Tianxing's image in his mind. With Lin Chen's current mental realm, he was not afraid of them resisting. If they resisted, they would be the ones at a disadvantage. Rumble. The one-armed man imprinted a new mental imprint in his mind. He did not resist and instantly connected with Lin Chen's mental energy. Lin Chen flicked his finger, and a divine pill and storage ring flew towards him. Next, Lin Chen's clone smiled. If you follow me, I won't mistreat you. Come out and fight with me. Since the sacred boundary wants to change, let's change it. The one-armed man was shocked. He consumed the divine pill and knelt on one knee. Your subordinate, Mo Juechen, obeys your orders. Gui Jianchao's eyes lit up. Oh, you fought a rank 8 family's Mo Juechen with one arm back then. Take me away too. Since you're a human, I'm willing to serve you as my master. Hee little guy, let me out too. I slaughtered a few families back then, and the coordinates of the secret treasures are still recorded. Do you want them? I'm willing to follow you. I'll lead the charge, regardless of the future. I only want to fight with the sacred prison. One by one, the void cages sent out requests. Gui Jianchou stepped forward, and his greenish-yellow heavenly eye emitted a holy light. He began to screen out many cunning and deceitful people. However, there were also many people who were loyal and courageous, chivalrous and loyal. Lin Chen did not say anything. As he removed the 9-killer seal, he pointed at Zhou Tianxing and imprinted the seal into their minds. Rumble. Bang. Before Lin Chen could release many people, a group of people rushed out of the spatial gate on the 16th level. It was the prison guards. The few old-fashioned prison guards at the front saw that Lin Chen had actually released them. They gritted their teeth and shouted coldly. We can't let them take these prisoners away. Since we can't guard them, we'll kill all of them. 10 of you go back and kill all the criminals on the 15th floor. 10 prison guards immediately turned back. They had already decided to die together with Lin Chen. They did not want him to succeed. Lin Chen's eyes shifted as he shouted coldly. Jianchou, you and my clone will be in charge of saving the remaining people. Ling you and I will be in charge of covering them. Use your spatial technique to protect them. My clone will be in charge of catching up with the fellows returning to the 15th level. Shaolin Er's spatial technique could only be cultivated by someone above the heaven-opening realm. Lin Chen's cultivation was still unable to cultivate her ultimate technique. Rumble. As soon as the voice was transmitted, Lin Chen's clone was covered in multicolored holy light. The multicolored holy light continued to grow and coiled around his body. Lin Chen's clone took a step forward and instantly turned into a bloody cloud that covered the sky. He moved 100,000 li in an instant. What? Many of the old-fashioned prison guards were startled. They were dazzled by the bloody light and shadows that were rushing towards them. Flying moon finger. Heaven-shattering 9 layers palm. Myriad transformations. Great overarching myriad manifestations. A terrifying attack formed and crushed, crushing countless bloody clouds. But a large amount of bloody clouds still passed by their positions extremely quickly. Everyone's faces were filled with shock. This movement technique was too fast. Even the prison guards with rank 7 and rank 8 cultivation could not see through his movement technique's trajectory and directly hit the air. You want to block this handsome, my clone with just your strength? You are still far from enough. Lin Chen's clone laughed sinisterly. In the blink of an eye, he caught up with the 10 prison guards who were heading towards the 15th level. He raised his sword and slashed with divine speed heaven-opening sword. The snow-white sword light with sharp sword light pierced through them. Damn it, how can this kid be so fast? Is this the speed of a condensing realm expert? Quick, stop him. The prison guards were so scared that cold sweat poured down their backs. What kind of monstrous speed was this? You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.